Yes, people. Welcome to LFC Red Forever channel. We're doing the preview today. The preview, which is Liverpool versus Bournemouth. We're going to talk about obviously the last of the transfers of the players that's gone to Chelsea. I want to end it here today, and I don't want to speak about them anymore. I've had enough. I've had enough. So it's going to be the last time we're going to speak about them. So let me bring in the guests. Let's bring in Nurabits first. What's going on, brother?
Good. How you been, bro?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this already, bro. You know what I mean? It could be a long show. It could be a short show. We don't know. So, this game, is it important? Do you think that it's especially like being at home? Do you think we could get our first win and progress with that one afterwards?
Yeah, massively important. A lot of dark clouds have been surrounding Liverpool the last week or so, and so it's good to have a game at Anfield, bring the team and the players and the fans together.
Yes.
And hopefully we can, show them, especially the players that do play, show them that you can't write this Liverpool team off just yet.
Spot on, brother. I had to ask that question, innit? So it's a great response. What's going on, 12th man? I hope you're ready today.
Yeah. I am ready to go.
No
what's
worries,
up, Norbeats? What's good? Yeah. And what's up to the chat, of course. Big up my Reds.
Big up. And we'll bring in Harley. I'm expecting more people. We'll see how we go along. Harley, what's going on, brother? You good?
Yeah, I'm sweet. How are we all? We good?
100%, bro. We're all good. Yeah. Let me. I'll do that screens in it. So I'm gonna put that screens for us. There's 4 of us. So let's bring in the 4 one. Yeah. It's gonna be good. There we go. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the transfer that's gone. So let's talk about this one first. Then we'll talk about our manager. Then we'll talk about the new player that's coming and the potential players coming in with him after that. Yeah. And then we'll do the preview. So, both players have gone to the wrong club, in my opinion. I wanted one of them so badly, it didn't work out. So, 12th man, do you think they made the right career choice or not? If you think about them too. And, developing as players, becoming world class eventually. Because we've seen Chelsea do this before with the likes of Salah, De Bruyne, Lukaku. They brought all these players in all at the same time. And, their career didn't go well at Chelsea. Do you see the similar thing that's going to happen to them like that? Or are they going to be progressing with Pochettino this time?
I think that realistically, they're going to do a situation where they're going to have so much money around them that they're going to say, I can't see you, I can't hear you. They're not really going to care. I mean, considering the wages that both these players are going to be put onto, and considering the amount of playing time they're going to have to end up splitting, if not sharing at some point, is a testament of what their real concern was. And I'm not saying that making generational wealth for you and your family is not something that you should focus on, certainly so, but it's not like they would have been paupers if they'd come to Liverpool either. So I think it's going to have a not necessarily a boost to their career in sense of their talents and their abilities, but it's definitely going to have a boost to their bank accounts, and that's apparently more important to them than it is for be a part of a project that you're going to not only grow with the project, but you're going to grow as a player as well, and that's something that is disappointing to see, but that's somewhat the state of football today.
100%, 100%. What about you, Nurbits? Well, what do you think them like? How they're going to develop at Chelsea? Because it's a big project. As for they finished 12th last season. Do you think they're going to progress as players as everybody wants them to, or they've missed that chance not going to Liverpool Football Club, which is the one that actually turns players from average to world class?
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think those that were advising them advised them like with their best intention at heart for the players. Only not being bitter, but only because if you just look at like a week, what they done to Tyler Adams should have
Yeah.
shown you what type of ruthless, heartless club that Chelsea is.
Yes, sir.
They've shown you exactly who they are. If you're not performing, you'll probably be out. You've seen what they've done with Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
What's my man that was up front again that went to Roma?
Tammy Abraham.
Tammy Abraham and all sorts. And the young, they've been able to collect a lot of excellent young players. Unfortunately, they didn't develop to be what they should have been because they were at Chelsea, just being farmed out and loaned out to different places and not had a place to settle, call their home, and then get to work. You're just being taken from place to place all the time. You have no opportunity to, develop some roots into the ground and have belief from the managers. And so this hampers progress in my opinion. And so we'll see. If it doesn't work out, they've only got themselves to blame, to be honest.
100%, brother. What about you, Harley? Are you gutted they didn't join Liverpool instead of well, obviously they didn't join Liverpool, but they joined Chelsea instead. Like it hampered our transfer, hasn't it? Like we was like after them more than anyone, and it looks like we're heading towards a different route that could be hit or miss, if you know what I mean, because Liverpool plan their transfers as they go along, and they check on the players inside on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
For me, mate, I was gutted in two different ways. With Caicedo, it was a situation of, oh my God, we're getting a marquee record-breaking signing in here. This is massive. That kind of didn't go through. And so then we moved on to Lavia, and it was like, okay, so this is the safe bet now.
Yeah.
So now that we've come back down to earth a little bit, this is the more safe bet. And then when that fell through, you gutted in a different way of Caicedo falling through was a disappointment. Lavia falling through was a, oh shit, what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
So there were two different kinds of gutted, really. But for me now, I'm over both of them, just because it doesn't do well to dwell on what could have been. They've made this decision. They've made the beds. They're going to have to lay in it. I personally think they've damaged the careers for the sake of money, as has been alluded to by you lads earlier on. And I genuinely think they've made the wrong career move if they're looking to become the best footballer possible. So it's their loss in that sense. And now I think we just have to move on now. And I think the club are moving on, and I've moved on. So
100%, brother.
It's simply one of them things where you have to accept it, whether you like it or you don't like it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Like with them two, obviously Lavia, I understand. Like we haven't talked enough about Lavia, in my opinion, because I look at him as a potential. He wasn't a player that was ready to play for Liverpool straight away. He's only 19, so he was going to progress as a player at Liverpool Football Club.
Sorry to interrupt. I've just had a little bit of news come through. It's not exactly relevant to Liverpool, but it's someone who I considered, and many other kind of either analysts or just general football fans have considered the target. Yusuf Fofana from Monaco. Nottingham Forest have made a verbal proposal to Monaco, which is 35 million euros plus add-ons. So they're speaking now to the 24-year-old French international, as Ornstein has said, and they're trying to come to terms. So anyone who's been keeping an eye on that name or that player as a potential defensive midfielder to come into the club, I just thought that would be worth putting out there and worth
100%, brother. Yeah, of course, man. 100%. PS says, big up Fozzy. Thank you, man. JK is in the house. He's saying, big up Fozzy. Hope you cool. I'm good, bro. I'm 100% cool. Meeting Ian Rush. What was that like? Oh, he was he was the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. I didn't think like, you know, a hero of mine like that, a childhood hero, would ever like talk to me. And he was brilliant. He was brilliant, man. And I'm always going to cherish that moment because I'm from the 80s, you know, I mean, all the way to the 90s when he was playing. So, yeah, he's one of my heroes, man. He's one of my heroes. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant guy. He's a brilliant guy. I met Graham Souness a few months back as well. I was expecting him to push me away. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, he's a hard man. Don't forget, to me, he's the hardest player I've ever seen in my life. If you watch Graham Souness in the 70s, there's no one harder than him. Roy Keane is a pussycat compared to him. Trust me. Go and watch Graham Souness in his time at Liverpool. He played in that midfield on his own. That's how good he was. You know, like Terry McDermott used to go all the way up, like play behind the strikers, and then you see Graham Souness, all that pitch, all that, you know, the length of the pitch was all his because nobody wants to get near him. If they get 50-50, they're done. They're done, guys. That's how much of a hard man he was. So yeah,
quite a lot of similarities to Jimmy Case, who is admittedly a little bit before my time, but another
hero, another hero. Man. He went to Brighton, didn't he? He went to Brighton after Liverpool. The Added Time podcast says, "Oh, big up, man. Chelsea fan, of course. Big up for the panel. Yeah, big up, bro. You came on the show. It was pretty fun. Remember, 12th man? You had your little tip with him. Yeah. He was brilliant.
What was that for the Chelsea game?
Yeah. It was a Chelsea fan that was on the show. We had a laugh. We had a laugh on that show. It was brilliant. Yeah. So with Lavia, guys. Do you blame him the way he acted during beats? You know, us coming back in for him when we like swerved away towards Caicedo. Like now he's choosing Chelsea. Even we know he might not even play every game now. So do you think like he made the right decision eventually or not?
He was a little bit different because of the relationship he had with Joe Shields. So Joe Shields is the one that brought him to Southampton.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the moment that Liverpool swerved away from him.
Yeah.
Joe Shield must have pounced and said, "Listen, I'll take care of you, whatever you ever, you know," told him sweet stuff in his ears. And then it was very difficult after that then to just change his mind again and go back to Liverpool. Yeah. After he's given his word to Joe Shields, then it probably would have been difficult for him to break his word, especially with someone that you know, someone that actually brought you to a club and looked after you while you was at Southampton.
Yeah,
there's that trust that was built between them. So then I think if he wasn't around, I think he would have come around back to Liverpool. However, because of that, I think he thought, let me just stick with Joe Shields, man.
What about you, Harley? What did you think of that, mate, with Lavia like choosing Chelsea over us at the second time as well? Can you blame him?
I understand why you feel a little bit pissed off, for lack of a better term, with how we acted. Because we kind of put him in no man's land a little bit, didn't we? We were bidding for him, and it looked like he was the man we wanted. And then we seen Caicedo. We went right over to him, and then that didn't work out, obviously. And then at that point, he felt really let down. But what I don't think people are acknowledging is the fact that we might have made him feel like second choice.
Yeah.
At Chelsea, he's going to be lucky to be second choice. We've even said on it before, it wouldn't shock us to see him go and get loaned out somewhere. I won't be getting in the team over Caicedo or Enzo. They're the first two midfielders on the team sheet. So ultimately, he's competing with the likes of Conor Gallagher and Chukwuemeze, depending on what formation they use for the spot. Will they use if they're using Caicedo as a holding midfielder, then he's not getting in the team. If they've been using him as a box-to-box, you might be able to get him with a shout, but ultimately, if he wanted guaranteed minutes and guaranteed time to develop, I think he's made the wrong decision. I don't begrudge him for it necessarily. I just think he's made the wrong decision, and he's acted
emotionally, basically, instead of like
maybe a little bit. I think the length of contract and the money that Chelsea can offer compared to us, like realistically, no matter how much money Liverpool do or don't have, we're not going to offer players 9-year contracts because that's silly.
No.
That's silly, and I think that's a big factor in why both Caicedo and Lavia will have chose to, go to where they went to. So it's one of them where I don't hold any ill will. I understand, but I just think they've made the wrong decision, and it is what it is.
100%. 12th man, give it to me, bro. Lavia, is it going to be regretful for him going to Chelsea instead of Liverpool?
Again, it depends on how you look at where the regret is stemming from. I mean, I think it was Has that brought up the point about he's going to be making some in 9 years. He'll be making some 100 million, over 100 million in revenue for himself. And that alone is again something that he probably or not, or at least that's what Caicedo, but Lavia will be making some additional amount of money towards his name. I know that those types of contracts that they're signing, these 9-year deals, to know that for the next 9 years of your life you're going to be taken care of is that kind of overlooks or takes out some of the worry that you might have in where your future is going to lie and what you're going to have to rely on for your family. So those issues and concerns are certainly being taken care of. But if you're talking about his progression on the pitch, that's a different story. And as the panel has rightfully brought out, his progression in that case might not be a constant ascension. It's going to be possibly something where he's going to have to be loaned out, as Haz was just saying, or he's going to have to obviously be second, if not third fiddle on and when it comes to trying to be a part of the club or be a part of the team. And again, we've mocked, or we've said things about, where's your ambition? He's taking on a club that isn't in Europe, wasn't any place close to being in Europe last year, and a team that personally I hope doesn't see Europe again, to be honest with you. So it's going to be a very interesting melding pot that he's going to have to learn how to swim in very, very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with these 100%. All of you actually with them too. It's sad. It's sad, especially with Lavia. I mean, I understand emotions sometimes takes over a player, especially when you leave to go to another one and then come back for him and all that stuff. But if he thought of it in a way of like as a player, he would have realized Liverpool is the right destination for him. But it was emotionally, and you're heartbroken when you said to everyone, "I want to go to Liverpool," and they swear the other way. It's also understandable. But yeah, I want to move away from this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's done. They're gone. I don't care. Now we've got to move on. We've got our own ambitions. So a lot of people have been saying something about our manager. Let's discuss it and put our thoughts to it. And let's see the outcome, innit? So, a lot of people have been saying Jurgen Klopp rejects players. A lot of people are saying Jurgen Klopp out. A lot of people are saying Jurgen Klopp doesn't work with the recruitment team, and he decides everything. He's the Messiah basically. He's worth more than the chairman. He's worth more than anyone at Liverpool Football Club. Nurabits, what do you think of this slander towards our manager that we love very much?
It's for me, it's a lazy narrative that even what's his name, Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football, he said I don't blame the owners, I blame the structure. And I was thinking, all right, where does the structure come from? Does it come from there? Does it come from? It comes obviously from the owners. So when he tried to separate, and I didn't like when he tried to separate the ownership, Klopp and Edwards that used to be there. So the structure was clear when Klopp came in first, and it wasn't very successful before Klopp. So we have to now think to ourselves, does every correlation mean causation? So because Edwards is gone now, does it mean because Edwards was running everything in the background and now everything has gone dead since he's not there anymore? Or is it a change of strategy? Or is it that the ownership have taken the eyes off the club a little bit, searching for investment, and didn't really, keep, like, I think they got rid of Gordon, who was there amongst them all who had them in check, and he was gone. And so my argument is it will be very, very lazy to try and put it on Klopp and say he is trying to he's going out of his way to reject players, good players, and just bring on or stay loyal to players that he's already had.
Does he stay? Do you think he stays loyal, bro? Like a lot of people say that a lot, but like I'm looking at him, I don't know. Like
I don't think
what I see is he stayed loyal to the extent because of a season before you nearly won the quadruple, and then you know what I mean. Like if you're going for every trophy possible, can you blame him for sticking with them another season if he hasn't seen any drop from the players?
Exactly, and that was the key. So imagine your number one target, and that was when Tuchemani noise was happening, and we did, and he went to Real Madrid. So imagine now Klopp thought to himself, okay, should we go out and look for a second, or do you think I think we can maybe have one more decent season with these guys, and then we should change it up in midfield. Obviously, it didn't work out, but to blame Klopp and say that Klopp is responsible and he's kicked out Edwards and he doesn't agree with what Edwards has done, and them two had a fight over it, or because he tried to keep Henderson or tried to keep Milner a little bit longer, I think that's very, very disingenuous in my opinion.
The same goes for you, Harley. About the Klopp to blame. Do you think it's for the players we missed out on down the years, and you know the current players like staying for too long? Is he the one to blame? And you know we'll talk about Michael Edwards and that stuff as we go along, because Liverpool fans, they flip flop from one person to another every single time, and it's becoming tiring. I'm getting tired.
Do you remember last year it was Pep Linders?
Pep Linders, yeah. We'll talk about it. Don't worry, we're coming to it.
Honestly, right, the people who try and blame Jurgen Klopp for things that have gone on, they need help. It's as simple as that. They need help. I can't get my head around how people can come to that conclusion. I've spoke about this on another show in great depth, and I will happily do it again now. This narrative that he stays loyal to players unnecessarily, I can't get behind that, because look at the amount he's let go for the start, and then look at the amount that he, over the years, particularly as Liverpool developed into the top team they've become. Players like Dejan Lovren, who've had great moments under Jurgen Klopp. Players like Karius, players like Mignolet, players like Albert Moreno, who all have done a job to some degree under Jurgen Klopp. He's moved on. And that doesn't even begin to mention the likes of Firmino, who he did offer a deal to. He chose to move on. But the difference that he didn't tell the team to pay over the odds or give him the same. So he realised that there's a certain point where a player, what they're either asking for or what they're being paid does kind of not contribute enough to be worth it. Then you've got the whole kind of element of just the amount, the sheer number. It's the sheer number of players that have been moved on as well. So you can't tell me that if given the chance on at least the same wages, Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, so on and so forth, wouldn't have stayed at the club. When the time comes for it, he moves players on. And in terms of him rejecting players, I've never ever heard this narrative used to attack any other manager. So people want to bring up the fact that he didn't bring Enzo Fernandez in. No other manager did as well, apart from Brighton. So how do you know what the agent was asking, how much playing time the agent and the player were asking for? How do we know what other teams out there could have possibly just straight up passed up on him? And our recruitment team knew what a good player he was. But ultimately, you have to weigh the pros. You have to also consider the fact that any talent from straight from South America is a risk. And you have to balance that up with the fact that whether you're pro-FSG, anti-FSG, or somewhere in between, we don't have endless money to spend on whoever we want. If Klopp had infinite money, he'd be happy to take more of these gambles, but he doesn't. And so when he spends money on a player, he has to do it with a certain degree of knowledge that that player will contribute to some degree, be it immediately or be it in the long term, or at the very least someone that can be sold on for a significant amount. Whereas you don't always know with these players who come from South America. So it's very difficult. Hindsight's amazing. Hindsight is absolutely amazing, but managers make mistakes. Like, look at all the players that he's brought in that nobody would have expected him to bring it, or no other top managers was looking at. Like Andy Robertson, for example, he's brought him in, he made him ridiculous. Wijnaldum, another signing, come in, became a top player. Diogo Jota, a lot of people were very like, well, why have we paid that much money? And then he's proved himself to be worth every penny. Or so many different players he's brought in who have met, if not exceeded, expectations. I can't think of any player the Klopp has brought in for a significant amount, bar maybe Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain, but that is entirely down to injuries and not the ability.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
Haven't worked out. And when people turn around to me and tell me the Klopp doesn't have good talent identification, I think people are embarrassing themselves when they say utter poo like that, mate. Absolutely embarrassing themselves. So ultimately, and all of these people as well who go after Klopp, most of these people, if not all of these people, dislike FSG, and that's, fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion on that, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not begrudging anyone who feels that way.
Of course.
But you have to realise that if you think our owners are so bad, once we get rid of this manager, who do we replace him with? Because if these owners are as bad as you're saying they are, you're in for a nasty shock when Jurgen Klopp leaves. Exactly. You're in for a very nasty shock, especially if you don't have faith in the ownership. Because if there's one thing I've got faith in within this football club, it's Jurgen Klopp. He's the greatest manager in world football, and I genuinely believe I can live to be 100 and I won't see a greater manager than Jurgen Klopp in my lifetime. I wasn't old enough to remember Paisley and Shankly. Rafa Benitez is the first Liverpool manager I can remember. I've been supporting Liverpool properly, going to the games and all that.
Yeah.
So, that's that. I just simply feel like it's lazy, as Norbit said, lazy, and I think, to be quite honest, it's stupid.
It's unlike Liverpool fans. That's what it is, brother. 100%. But yeah, 12th man. Same goes for you, brother. Obviously, I'm gonna have my rant at the end, but go for it, bro. Like, what is going on with our fan base, man? Like, why are they having got our manager? I mean, are they right or are they wrong? What they're saying, mate?
Look, there's certain narratives that are always pressed when it comes to our manager. There's the narrative that he's stubborn. There's a narrative that he's too loyal. There's a narrative that he's not adventurous enough, or there's the narrative that he doesn't take risks, or all these different things. Always the narrative. If anything, you can sell the narratives if you want, but the results haven't really necessarily proven a lot of the narratives that are being put out there correct. If anything, the man's gotten results. And if anything, also, like any good manager, you have to have some relationship with these players. You have to have some relationship with the people that you're going to trust in bringing out results. And if you don't have the trust in those players to bring those results, then the confidence that you're expecting from these players isn't going to be existent. It's just not going to be something that really rises to the top. And I know that, for instance, with these new signatures, the first two, of course, they're high-profile players. They're players that we expect a great deal of. This new signature of Endo, I personally think that Endo is a good player. I think that he's.
We'll come up to him. We'll come up to him.
Okay, but all the same. Okay, so now I'll just end on this point then. Is that I think that there's a lot of what we see of this manager that I think we allow for we allow for the narratives to kind of get into the wavelengths that we surround ourselves with, and unfortunately, it's difficult to block them out. But I think that realistically, the results show otherwise.
Big up, bro. Big up. Let me just read some of the comments, guys. I mean, there's people that's actually interacting with us at the moment. Yeah. Yes. Big up, Ben. Big up, brother. How are we, fella? I'm good, fellas. We're all good. Are we all good here, guys? Are we enjoying this?
Yeah, man.
Big up to the panel. Big up to the panel. Yeah. Big up, Ben, man. I can't wait to have you on the show, bro. I can't wait, bro. I can't wait. 100%.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Ben.
Yes, Uncle Roz. The same goes for you about Klopp.
Yes, man.
You know, what's your say about it, bro?
I was just like my incense sticks. You know what I mean? To burn out all negativity around here. You understand?
Let's have a conversation about this, innit? We'll have a conversation about this, guys. Yeah, let's prolong it. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Just I'm lighting my incense sticks. Yeah, to burn out all the negative fans that we got around us and from that. I want positivity oozing through the Liverpool fan base. Listen, at the end of the day, has Klopp made mistakes? He's not perfect. Do you know what I mean? Probably has made mistakes. But I'll tell you something at the end of the day, right? Klopp has done more good than what he's done bad.
Thank you.
And I can go with that. You know what I mean? Because nobody's perfect in life. Everybody's gonna make that one or two mistakes at the end of the day of like when they look back at it and think to themselves, well, I could have done this different. I could have done that different. Do you know what I'm saying? Navigator, when you look at Navigator, he honestly thought in the day that sort of like that Navigator was going to be this amazing player. We all thought he was going to be an amazing player, but hampered with injuries. Excuse me. Oxlade-Chamberlain the same, but then again, Oxlade-Chamberlain did score some really great goals. Do you know what I mean? Did score some really great goals. Yeah. And another thing as well, when you look at some of the players that he took from relegated clubs, you know what I mean? Clubs that's relegated, like Eugene Wijnaldum, like your Robertson, and they made them into world beaters, made them win Champions League medals, made them win sort of like Premiership titles, you know what I mean, and so forth. Do you know what I mean? You have to say it, and you have to give it to him, and say, well, look at the day, he's done more good than what he has bad. You know what I mean? We as fans at the day, we expect at the day something to be 100% perfect, no flaws. You know what I mean? But it's never going to be like that. You're always going to get this certain situations at the day which could have been done better. You know what I mean? On hindsight, that is. That's on hindsight. Do you know what I mean? Because I say that somebody touched on David Lovren. Yeah. Look what sort of player David Lovren was before he come under Klopp. Before Klopp come to the club, we was like, get him out of our club. You know what I mean? He's atrocious.
Yeah.
When he came to Liverpool, and Klopp got sort of like that partnership pairing between Virgil van Dijk and David Lovren. It was formidable. You couldn't get past them. Do you know what I mean? That's what Klopp did that. Nobody else did that. Klopp did that. Do you know what I mean? Trent Alexander and Philip coming up for the academy and winning everything at the day before the age of 24. Yeah? Klopp did that. Nobody else did that, apart from the player, because the player had to go in the pitch and sort of like, you know, perform his magic. But Klopp's given him his chance. Klopp's developed him. Do you know what I mean? Curtis Jones at the day is being developed well under sort of like Klopp. So Klopp has done a lot of good things for the club. Yes, at the day I've had my criticisms towards Klopp at the day because, as I said, I'll always say this: if you do bad things, you get criticised for it. But if you do good things at the day, you get praised for it. That's me. It's got to be a balance. Do you understand what I'm saying? So Klopp for me at the end of the day, so like as my man said as well, when Klopp goes and everything, and I echo that sentiment. When Klopp goes, who the hell are you going to get? Who are you going to get? Who are you going to get in there to perform the magic in the day that in the club that what Klopp's done? Because all the best managers at the day that you got at the moment, all the top world-class managers you got at the moment, they're either in a job or when they finish that job, they know where they're going. Like Ancelotti and everything. When he finishes Real Madrid and right, he's already been promised a Brazilian job. Job for Brazil, international, obviously manager for Brazil, coach, or whatever, however you want to put it. He's already been promised that job, so he knows what's set out for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
like, be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? I always say for the section of fan base, Be careful with what you wish for. Do you know what I mean? And you never wish the water till the well runs dry. You understand what I'm saying?
100%, bro. 100%.
To me, and Klopp's an amazing manager, and he's given so much sort of like good sort of like moments as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Jamie, we're talking about Klopp. If he's to blame for rejecting players and everything that's happening at Liverpool Football Club. So I just want to hear everyone's point of view. I know how you feel sometimes, so let it out, mate. Let it out.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a one-way debate at the moment, ain't it? Klopp's got a lot of issues. He's got a lot of problems. There's no doubt about it. I think we go with Jurgen. I think we act like he's the Messiah too much, like he can't do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Done plenty of wrong, especially in the last 2 years. There's no doubt about that. When we go on about proof all the time, I heard the young lad talking about that. When we want to go on about proof all the time, where's the proof Klopp does this? Where's the proof Klopp does that? You can say the same thing the other way around about F.S.G. Where's the proof about this? Where's the proof about that? Sometimes you can throw these words around because it fits agendas. It's very easy to do. Does Klopp have say on players? Of course he does. Because we can't sit here and say our manager doesn't have say on players, because that would be really naive, extremely naive. The fact that people are saying he does favour certain players. Of course he does. He tried to give Milner a new contract. He wanted Henderson to stay when they shouldn't have, when Mark Edwards was legitimately wanting both of them players to go so he can get new blood in. These are facts. They just are. But does it make him a bad manager? Of course it don't. It don't make him a bad manager. It just makes him a human being that makes mistakes at the end of the day. Mm. What gets on my nerves is the way people just go on about him like he's the second coming or something. It just does. He's not the best manager in the world. Let's just get that out of the thing. He's just not, right? But there's nothing wrong with that. There's seriously nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a world-class manager but not being the best manager in the world. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's a quality manager. I wouldn't change him for anything. Don't want Klopp going anywhere. Mm-hmm. My irritation is just that he can't do nothing. Like, we say he isn't in charge of transfers, but then everyone's talking about the players that he brought in. So if he's not in charge of transfers, how did he bring these players in? Like everyone was saying, he brought Robbo in, he brought Gini Wijnaldum in. Well, if he ain't in charge of transfers, he couldn't have brought them players in, could he? That's what
I didn't necessarily say that, by the way.
You did. I can go back to it. You literally said he brought in Gini, he brought in Robbo.
No, he did. But in his defense, but in Hazard's defense, even though he didn't necessarily engineer the deal, he still has to bring them into the team. Now, like to take the measure to say, hey, these unheralded players that you're now providing me, like a Robbo, I'm now going to give a prominent position in the team. That shows that you did have some sense of part in that acquisition.
So what we're saying here, he does have things on transfers, yeah? That's what we're all agreeing with.
Oh, 100%.
He has to. He has to. Otherwise,
so this is what I'm getting
at. Them.
This is what I'm getting at. We can't be hypocrites and pretend he doesn't have say on transfers when he does have say on transfers. Yeah. By the way, I'm not having a go at Jurgen here. The players we brought in are good, but that also goes down to great scouting, by the way, and great work in the analytics team and the data team that realised these players under our manager, with the system he wants to play and the way he wants to play, fits perfectly. So all around, that is beautiful work by the football club, not just one person, not just two people, by the football club, owner, sporting director, chief scout, data analyst, all that, and Jurgen himself, all together. But Jurgen does make issues. He has got issues in his own game. There's no doubt about it. There's just no doubt about it. Tactically,
every manager has.
I think tactically, Klopp's that's his weakest part of his game. I think Klopp's even admitted that himself, so it's not a problem. As a man manager, I would run for a brick wall for Jurgen Klopp. There's no doubt about it. He could probably talk to me for 5 minutes and I'd undress. It'd probably be like that. You know what I mean? He's that kind of speaker and man manager. By the way, Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest managers of all time, was not a great tactician.
No, he wasn't.
He was a great manager. There's a difference between. I think Pep Guardiola is the greatest coach I've seen maybe in my lifetime, but maybe not the greatest manager and things like that. There's different ways to talk about it. No. Klopp has his faults. Tactically, there's issues. We spoke about all this last season. Yeah. But yeah, I don't want Klopp gone or anything like that. He's perfect for Liverpool Football Club because his personality suits the football club. His personality suits the owners. Yeah. I don't think he hates the owners as much as a lot of people want him to hate the owners. Yeah. I think I think he likes the way the owners run a football club. I literally don't think Klopp likes the way Newcastle are run, Man City are run, PSG are run. And I legitimately don't think Klopp would like to manage teams like that. I really don't, because he talks about that all the time. But that's all I want you to say on the Klopp thing.
Can I add one quick point? And is it maybe then that people have more of an issue that Klopp has created or recreated this club in his image, and people have an issue with it being now such that it's Klopp this, it's Klopp that, and now we can't get away from it being a club that exemplifies everything that is that manager.
And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, having the club you're the manager. And I want the Klopp's image on our club, yeah. So when we talk about all this, what we got to do, we got to sit in the middle and talk and debate these things. We can't sit here and go, no, I hear Liverpool fans going, Klopp's got nothing to do with transfers. He just gets what he gets. And then everyone talks about the players that he did bring to the football club. It's one or the other. Mate, he hasn't got. Look, Klopp's not in charge of budget. We know that. That's the owners. But I've been looking at transfers the last few years, yeah, and transfers are very much in the FSG mould. Me and Fozzie have spoken about this many times before. Players that are in the FSG mould that go for that money, age bracket, wage are not a problem. People like that. And I always wonder why Liverpool don't go and get them. Fofana apparently talking to Nottingham Forest today. And I know a lot of people on Twitter are going mad at the moment. Oh, why? That's FSG. Why have they done that? Straight away, that's everyone's first thought. My first thought is maybe my manager don't fancy him like everyone on Twitter does. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way, because I've always said it. I don't care who the player is. If that player don't suit the way my manager wants to play football and thinks it's the best way to us to win, don't buy him. That's why I have an issue with Darwin Núñez at the moment. Don't think he's a bad player. Just don't think he suits Jurgen Klopp's kind of football at this moment in time. You look at McAllister and Szoboszlai, fitted into Liverpool like a glove. Look at Gakpo, fitted in. Diaz, fitted in. They suit Liverpool. They suit Jurgen Klopp. So when it always comes to transfers, I think Klopp has a say. And he makes sure, Klopp's always on about what we always got to remember about Jurgen. He likes the human being first, don't he? He's very much into the human being side of football first. Like, what's the player's personality like? I don't think Klopp would ever go for a Pogba, say, or something like that. Huber talented, but I don't think he likes that kind of personality. Maybe he don't like. I don't think Klopp's mad. Like, look at Sacco. That's just look at Sacco straight away. Sacco's a bit of a maverick, a bit of a madman, all that. The man tried to leave him on Alcatraz. He did not want him at Liverpool no more. You know what I mean? So that's where I come from. I'm not having to go at anybody by the young guys in the corner. Sorry, I'm not having to go at you and pick on you or anything like that. I do apologise. I just getting my point over on that.
I just wanted to make clear that I'm not necessarily saying that. Obviously, I know Klopp has an impact on transfers. It's just not everything that goes, as you said, not everything that goes right and not everything that goes wrong is on him. I'm sure we can all agree on that. You were very much right when you mentioned that we have an entire team of scouts, of analysts, but ultimately who we finally get in and is decided by Klopp a lot of the time, particularly under other sporting directors and other kind of periods in time. It's been a case of a list of names will be presented to him and Klopp will kind of pick one out with the discretion of the team around him. So it's not all him. what I meant was when I was on the point of, I don't know if you were here or you heard this, on the point of the whole, we haven't explored the South America market. It's things like that. Like
I agree with that one. Yeah.
When we haven't gone and explored the South America market, it's not necessarily always on the scouts or even on Klopp. It's just a case of, again, we don't necessarily know what's being demanded in the negotiating room or what kind of playing time that player wants. That's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's not as simple as, oh, we didn't explore the South American market. That's because we aren't scouting the players or Klopp's not shrewd or smart enough. There's a lot of different factors. It's very very multifaceted, if you want to use that.
No, you're bang on. And like, sorry, Fozzie, just one thing.
Go for it, bro.
Use your
right.
Sorry.
No. This is what it's all about. I give everyone opportunities. That's what it is, man. Go for it, bro.
This is why I don't like getting in these FSG Klopp arguments all the time. I debate them on my show, but when I debate them on my show, I try and look at I don't try and sit on one side. I try and look at what both are doing right now. Look, FSG are fucking effing the club around. I don't want to get Fozzie demonetised. Effing the club around, right? They're effing the club around right now. There's no doubt about it. And Klopp is probably using leftovers. You know, it's Boxing Day, and he didn't eat Christmas dinner, and he's got whatever his auntie's got left in the fridge. That's what, and he's trying to make the best dinner out of it. He's trying to make the best dinner out of it.
Yeah.
12 man probably wondering what the flaming hell Boxing Day is. But that is what Klopp's trying to make of it at the moment, and so that's why I'll give Klopp a leeway this summer, because there's nothing he can do about it. By the way, this Endo, I just watched. There's a Japanese YouTuber who's a big Liverpool fan. Liverpool content, and he spoke about Endo and how good he is. Then I watched ESPN the other day, and I've been watching a few of his games. And this kid, I say he's kid, he's 30, but he looks
30
he looks 20. He looks 20. He looks 20, though, don't he? He looks 20.
Yeah.
This could be a really shrewd signing, actually.
We was looking for an experienced player, though, Jamie, weren't we? Like, as well as a young player in that position. So it's not bad to get an experienced player, is it?
I think Klopp even come out and said, didn't he, that we need a player to do the James Milner kind of minutes. When I first heard that, I didn't necessarily think much of it. My first thought was, oh, well, Thiago's the most experienced player in the team, so I guess he can kind of do that. But Klopp's probably looked and thought, we need a little bit more, and two, this is a really good opportunity on the market. Like, to me, this strikes me as an opportunistic signing, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with, by the way. Sometimes opportunistic signings can serve the club really well. And as I've kind of said, and a lot of people have said, I really like this signing. I just don't feel as though it should be the only one we make, in my opinion.
No.
But real quick too, though, when you brought up the Klopp and his transfers and everything, Brendan Rodgers had a say and a hand in that. When we had him as a coach, at least, he even openly admitted that there's a committee to how we get these players in, and he has an active voice in that committee. It's not as though he's the only voice in that committee that matters. Excuse me, but he is one voice that does have an influence or a say. Excuse me again.
That's all, bro.
But I do think that Klopp's influence or Klopp's inclusion in that committee is very similar to what Brendan Rodgers was referring to when he had his role on who the transfers are or who the transfers that we bring in. And in defense of my boy Ambassador, Darwin Núñez, I do think that Klopp was involved in that or being a champion or being a cheerleader for bringing that particular player in, primarily because he actually saw a player that he wanted to possibly bring another wrinkle to this offense, to this team. I like that we bring in different types of weapons to our arsenal, and if we're going to do that, then it makes us more unpredictable in our attack.
Can I just say with regards to the Klopp thing, this is a bit of insight. So I used to work at Leighton Orient. Obviously, it's not as
Look at their beats. Dash.
I used to work at Leyton Orient, and so the way it works is this: almost all clubs have a similar approach with regards to signings. Obviously, the pay scale and what have you is different. However, they have, let's say, the analyst team as well as the scouting team will compile X amount of players. Then they have to present that to the ownership, the manager, and the stakeholders, right? And so they've got to convince Klopp that this is the right person. If they don't do that with what is it they're finding, Klopp will obviously say, "Nah, I don't think he'll fit into this team." So that's the way usually it would work, right? And so I don't think it's changed differently, because if you look back at Klopp's comments when he first came in and he said, "Listen, I'm not someone that can do everything." He said, "Oh, madman, if you think I can do everything." He goes, "That's why I trust people around me, those experts around me, to develop a plan." Even himself, like as Jamie said, he's not the tactician of remember, he used to call Buvac the brain. He was the one that was coming out with the tactics, whatever you. But Klopp, then he's the one that galvanizes and instructs the players on what to do, simplifies it for them. Because usually the nerds, the coaches, the nerds like a Pep Guardiola are so engrossed in their coaching, and sometimes they forget about the human side, and this is where Klopp will come in. And so with regards to what Has said, I do agree. Klopp has probably got, if you ask me and ask most people who would they like to work under, they will say probably Klopp rather than a Pep, because Pep, in order for his style to work, he's got to throw a lot of people under the bus, because as soon as he doesn't like you, he can't show like a nice face. He'll actually, look what he's done to Cancelo. Look what he's done to a lot of players that don't fit his philosophy or don't acknowledge or accept what he's doing. While Klopp he was having a go at Salah the other day for coming off and throwing tantrums. Yeah. And look what did he say? He kills it off straight away. He's like, "Listen, I don't expect a player to come and hug me after I'm taking him off with the last 10, 20 minutes to go. Obviously, he wants to score the winner, especially keep his run going." So, yes, we all can have our preferences, but the way it should work and the way it should work going forward is that it's a team effort. And this, like glossing around, people calling back for Edwards, are they forgetting that Edwards was part of the Liverpool before Klopp with the signings of Markovic and what have you? You can go through almost all of them. Like
that's why I meant to come to Mo. Like, what do you think of Edwards? Do we miss him the way people are talking about it, or is it's just a myth, like you just said? Because a lot of people are talking about Edwards, like he should come back and all that stuff. Do we go back or do we move forward in regards to that?
Remember, I said correlation doesn't always mean causation. So because Edwards is gone now and Liverpool are going through this blip, they've made these two things has happened simultaneously. So Edwards must be the cause. But I could also say that Klopp stopped wearing glasses, and that's the cause as well, because simultaneously, since he stopped wearing glasses, we haven't been the same.
The conspiracies.
You see? So if you're going to spout something like that, unless you've got inside knowledge that these two did not get along or had a spout, or Klopp actually turned down Enzo and said, "No, I'd rather keep Henderson," then I don't think you should speculate around it. And I think you should just move on. A lot of people like that I loved as growing up, Benitez, I didn't want him to go.
Me neither.
He went, and we moved on. We had like a horrible time with Hodgson, and but eventually good times do come. So it's best to just move on, like we've done.
Like you talk about players moving on,
exactly.
Other people move on as well, don't they? They don't stay in the same club.
I think there's a lot of fear. I think there's a lot of fear when Jurgen leaves.
Jamie, come on, you know, we've been looking for a manager like this for years.
I can understand it when Jurgen leaves. There'd be a lot of fear because how good he is, right? Yeah. He won every trophy for Liverpool, and rightly so. You know, I remember my dad telling me the fear when Kenny left. You know, and things like that. There's always that. You know, Kevin. He's the best manager since Kenny, right? And that's a long time for Liverpool, yeah, in between that gap, right? Because Liverpool got left behind in the 90s because they didn't know, they were still going by the 70s and 80s route.
Yeah.
The 90s had new money and they couldn't compete. And I think Liverpool can compete financially. The difference in the world today is that where Liverpool are getting stuck right now, I don't think it's transfer fees, it's wages. Like all this stuff
Said that already, bro.
this stuff about Lavia Lane to Chelsea because the sporting director that brought him to Southampton, who he only knew for 4 months, is now at Chelsea, and he badly wanted to go back there because his mate who was there for 4 months is there, like he's going to be his manager. No, just tell the truth. You went there because they paid you far more than Liverpool are going to. And I don't blame players. They've got a short shelf life. They don't get retirement. Go and make your money. I don't blame them. I don't blame players. Just be truthful about it. All this now Sky Sports and everyone have to do Chelsea got more pull than Liverpool. No, they haven't. If Liverpool paid everything Chelsea paid, these players would come to Liverpool. It's as simple as that.
Would you want us to offer, sorry to interrupt, would you want us to offer, I'm not saying you necessarily are saying this, but I'm just saying a lot of these players are on 8-9 year contracts. I personally I feel long term that's a problematic thing, and I think that's just as big a factor as the number on the wage. It's the overall span of the contract as well, because that obviously it adds up. So it's a difficult one from a Liverpool perspective. And again, sorry, Jamie, to interrupt. I will let you finish now. It's a difficult one in that sense because you want to bring in players and do whatever you can to attract them. But I really don't think signing a player onto an 8-9 year contract is. A lot of people don't really like this word, but it's not sustainable at all. Like I think it's silly. I think it's absolutely silly under pretty much any circumstance.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And where I think Liverpool are getting lost right now is because way football used to be a few years back, not that long ago, really. The grade of player depended on wage you got, wasn't it? Like the world's best got the world's best pay. Then if you're a level below that, you got the wage level below that. The problem is now good players are getting world-class wage. Players are going to teams to sit on a bench getting 78, getting like 150 grand a week when they're not the level of a footballer that should be getting 150 grand a week.
Yes.
And that is where Liverpool and the way FSG do business, that's where they're getting stuck at the moment. Because what Liverpool need are these £50 million players that will sit on our bench. But they're not going to pay them the 150, 160 grand straight away because they don't see they don't see that as value. FSG about value. If you get a player in, they go sit on the bench, but they're going to be on 160 grand a week. FSG eventually going to be like, where's the value in this player for me? Because he's not contributing enough to the wage we're giving him. And that's the problem where FSG sit right now. It's the world of football gone absolutely mad. I think FSG are going to try and hope that the transfer market sort of settles down eventually and goes back it was a few years ago. But I don't think it is. I think it's going to get even more mad. I think it's going to get even more mad. There's a thing set now. FFP don't matter to rich owners.
Nope.
The fine they get.
The problem you got.
It's less than the player they just bought.
Uncle Ross, you go next, don't worry.
The problem you got at the end of the day, as long as Chelsea, you likes of Chelsea, you likes of Man City are able to do these transfers like this and structure these deals like this and be given time to structure a deal and they over a deadline that was being set. As long as they are going to be able to do that, you're going to find out and the transfer market and is going to get ruined. Do you know what I'm saying? Because no longer in the day is people going to play by the rules of a transfer. They're just going to do what the hell they want because they can do the hell they want. Do you know what I mean? There's no doubt at the end of the day, sort of like even with the Caicedo deal, there's no doubt at the end of the day that Chelsea had help from the Premiership. People, certain members of the Premiership. There's no doubt because you're not going to be able to structure a deal like that and get around FFP and that, right? And the way they done it, do you know what I mean? Without some help. Without some help and advice, and look, this is how you do it. You do it this way and you do it that way. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Do you know what I mean? So as long as you got that them kind of elements and then in the game and the day, right? You're always going to get that with a transfer market. And like, you could say it and day sort of like, FSG are playing by the rules, and which they are. They are playing by the rules because they do their transfer right. They're not putting certain players in there on these like 30-year contracts and everything like that. They're not kind of like giving them abundance amounts of money. They're doing it properly. They're seeing value in the player, and they're paying the players that they of their value. You understand what I'm saying, right? But then you have like people like Chelsea, and they will just throw money at the problem. And then all of a sudden, you got people, as I said, you got people and they on all these journalists and from here, there, and everywhere saying that they're how much a genius that then these people are. No, they're not. They're sucking out the integrity of the English football because of the way they're doing it, and you're letting them do that. Do you know what I mean? At least with FSG, and they're not doing it that way. But like, if FSG and they are waiting and they for the integrity to come back into the transfer market, the integrity to come back into the British game, you'll be waiting a long time because it's gone and it's never coming back. Because you're constantly in the day going to have people and they letting people get away with certain things that other people can't get away with. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, you're constantly going to get that. So what FSG got to do in the is either A, at the end of the day, right, you get down and dirty in the and you play in the same rules of what they're playing at. Do you know what I mean? Can't be joining them for that. Or at the end of the day, you carry on sort of like doing what you're doing, yeah, but don't expect much. Do you know what I mean? Just go out, identify your player, get that player, put him on a contract, that you see fit, and you take it from there. Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is about it, Carl say that, and they, as 12 man alluded to, Carl say that, and they could say how much at the end of the day that he's a Chelsea fan and he's always wanted to play for Chelsea and for that. Right? You know, a couple of months ago, you said you want to play for Real Madrid.
Yes, sir.
A couple of months ago, you said you want to play for Arsenal. A couple of months ago, you want to play for fucking Man United. So make your mind up, fella. Make your mind up. Lavia at the end of the day, right? Lavia at the day was probably was annoyed at the day that Liverpool and they messed him about, and he decided to go to Chelsea. Now, if we're to believe the rumors that came out there that Liverpool offered 60 million for the player, and then now's your chance. Now's your chance to go to Liverpool. If you're so much of a fan of Liverpool, now's your chance. But you didn't go because number one, you're not a fan of Liverpool, and number two, and then you're getting paid much more money at Chelsea at the end of the day than what you would get paid at Liverpool. So don't try and mug me off at the end of the day, right? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and that's what they do. So once you got a situation in the day where people are allowed and they to come into the game and allowed and they to bend the rules to their advantage, and people and they are literally let them do it. Let them do it because they're Chelsea, because they're Man United, because they're Man City. They literally let them do it. Because remember the day, if you go back in the day, into the 90s and in 2000, yeah, you had Sir Alex Ferguson sitting on the board of the Premiership, board. Hold on, you got a dog in the race. Do you know what I mean? You're telling me you're not going to be biased. Do you know what I mean? So there's all those little things that people got to look at in the day. The integrity of football, not just with the transfer market. You know what I mean? The integrity of football and it's gone. It's gone. It's no longer there. People are not playing fair. Do you know what I mean? You know. So Liverpool, people, honest sort of like teams and their clubs and like Liverpool and right, do not stand a chance against these people like Chelsea, against the people like Man City, against the people like Man United. Don't stand a chance of it. And it was constantly spin the narrative and well, you know what, Chelsea's got a better pool than Liverpool, because that's what they want. That's what they want, that narrative out there. Because as I said before in previous streams, that they don't give a shit about Liverpool. They never have, and they never will. Do you know what I mean? And once we as fans that they realize that they don't give a shit about Liverpool, then we can move on. I say, look Klopp at the end of the day, right? As I said before, with Klopp at the end of the day, he's done some bad things and he's done some good things. But to me at the end of the day, he's done more good things than what he's done bad. And nobody's perfect at the end of the day. And that's
yes,
me.
Uncle Rods. Yes. I agree with you 100%. What you just said there. You know what, Jurgen Klopp, if he leaves, guys, it's going to be a struggle to get someone like him or someone better than him. You know what I mean? So you got to think about it that way. We waited 30 years to get a manager like this, Jamie. You know that, Jamie. I'm older than you, so I know from the 80s. Kenny was my manager.
22 years old.
So Kenny was my manager, And I've never seen anyone like Kenny until Klopp came, and he made us believe he could do something with nothing. If you get what I'm saying, guys, he didn't spend anything like Man City do, like other teams do, and he turned it into something. Won every trophy, guys. But what you guys need to understand as well, especially like the way people talk about Liverpool is like we deserve to be where we are. Yes, to a certain extent, of course we are, because we started with Klopp getting players that's not even world class and turn them into something. And you're forgetting along the way we had a pandemic that actually hampered our progression as well, guys. Do we forget things like that? Injuries that hampered our way onto way to success as well. So think about it that way. That destroyed our momentum. When your momentum gets disrupted, you're not going to be going in that like straight arrow you're supposed to be going. So that's how I think about it. I have my ups and downs with Klopp, but I can't see any other manager that's going to be like him, that's going to replace him. That's what worries me more than anything. And you know that, Jamie. I'm being truthful in that. Yeah. We've waited for 30 years, bro, for a manager like that, and he made us into something again. We wouldn't talk about this if it wasn't for him. We need to understand 7 years ago where we was, Jamie. We was nowhere to be seen, brother. We was like one of the worst teams I've ever seen at Liverpool's history. And listen, we got to speak up.
I don't even know. I don't even know who's out there next. I look at the market right now for managers, and now everyone keeps going about De Zerbi and all this all the time. And he's had yes, he plays.
We do deserve it. Listen, well, the players he had, Jamie, we do deserve it. We do deserve it. Yeah.
He plays really, really nice football. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of managers out there that, but I'm not sure. Look, Klopp was a winner. We got to remember, young Klopp was a winner before he came to Liverpool. You know, he was a winner. He won back-to-back German league titles, which, if you look since, almost impossible to do. It's almost impossible to do.
No other manager.
Not even the last minute in a game, man. Not even the last minute in a game.
No other manager's done it with a team that's not by himself.
To be fair, I think Leipzig are going to win the German league this year because Harry Kane's gone to Tottenham, and that curse is real. I do believe that. But look, he was a winner. Everyone forget what I look at more with Jurgen, right? Is what he did with Mainz, right? What he did with Mainz is even more special because Mainz never got promoted in their history. They're a tiny, tiny little club in Germany in a really small town. You know, my town. I live
Who do you describe them like? Give us a comparison. Like, who do you compare them with?
Bromley.
Like crew or some crew.
It's just they're not. They're like I don't know. They're like I don't know. Leighton Orient probably. Say it like that.
There you go. There you go.
Big up newbies. You know, they're a tiny little town. You know, my town is probably bigger, and you know they've never been promoted in life. It was his club. He was there the whole time. He took over really young, and he had a good relationship with the people involved there, and he got them promoted. And that was massive. Yes, he got relegated at the end of it because there's zero money. You know, it's really, you know, what's he going to do against the Mainz or a lot of teams in that German league?
Yeah.
So he got relegated in the end. But what he did with them was amazing. And what he did with them then, the Dortmund story is so similar to the Liverpool story. It's untrue. Dortmund once a massive, massive club in Germany, huge club in Germany. Don't forget they didn't win the European Cup that long ago. You know, was it 97 they won the European Cup?
Yeah, wasn't it Lambert, isn't it? That's
Karl-Heinz Riedler, and then he came
that
summer. Amazing. And you know, and he took that team was dying, the old players, they were on their arse, and he took over them, and you know, and he had a great scouting network at Dortmund. That's one thing at Dortmund. Klopp had a great scouting network, and they, you know, they went around the world and got players in because Dortmund were at a level at the time. Because they were at a level at the time, they could afford to take their time and get players in. Give Lewandowski a chance. A kid from Poland that no one's ever heard of for play for Polska, like for $2.5 million. You know, and give him
Nunes.
Like if Dortmund were like title chasing when Klopp took over, he probably wouldn't have gone and got them players because you're at a different level in your progression that you have to be seen by bigger players. So he was allowed to take his time, build a Dortmund team, and eventually they went back to back. You know,
and Jamie, what people say is like he doesn't work with technical players. But what was that Dortmund team?
That Dortmund team was probably more technical than almost
any other team.
Always Liverpool team since he's been at Liverpool. You know, you go through all the players.
if you compare the profiles in midfielder, it's the Dortmund definitely come out as more technical. If you look at the kind of players he was working with, definitely.
That's more work rate, isn't it?
I'd probably say the only Klopp team that he's managed the midfield can compare to the one that he had at Dortmund technically is the one he's building at the moment with players like Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones, Elliott, and players like that. Bishop, Stefan Bishop to an extent as well. So obviously Thiago as well, but he was kind of his main minutes came in the other Liverpool team. He was a technical player in a group of combatant ball winners, box to box players. So he was the outlier amongst a group of work rate. I don't want to call them work rate merchants because they weren't bad footballers, but when you compare them technically to some of the names that we've got at Liverpool now and also at Dortmund then, it's much different.
100%.
Oh yeah, miles bigger. And look, what Klopp done with Dortmund, it's amazing. And then back-to-back league titles, obviously winning the Pokal as well, their FA Cup, and that Champions League final between the two teams. They were arguably the best two teams in Europe. That's
100%. 100%.
Munich and Dortmund at that time were probably the two best teams in Europe. He brought German football up again because it was someone competing against the might of Bayern Munich. And every year Bayern Munich nicked his player.
Yes, sir. Even the Champions League final, good sir.
And that is why, in my opinion, I take this all the way now to Liverpool when Liverpool won the Champions League final. And I will die on this. I will die on this sword, right? Because people don't really agree with me on this one, but I will die on this sword. I think because I look back at what happened in his Dortmund team, when you had this team that was winning, and they can't financially compete against Bayern Munich because they own Germany, right? So they can't financially compete against them. So when you're losing your best players to Dortmund, what can you actually do? Do you know what I mean?
Nothing.
To Bayern Munich, you can't really do anything. So when he won the Champions League with Liverpool with that squad, I believe, in my opinion, Klopp looked at it and went, I don't want actually anyone to come in this summer to mess around with what I've got right now because no one's leaving. Klopp made mention of it. This is the first time he's had a winning team when no players wanted to leave. Yeah. And he felt like he could go again the following season and win the Premier League. Look, he was proved right on that occasion.
But you know what happened, didn't it?
I actually agree with you, Jamie. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. I think that's what happened. And I think they played it a little bit wrong, but they did because you can see what's happened. But I agreed with Klopp that summer. I was like, no, just get some youngsters in to build for the future. Maybe if there's one out there who will come straight into this team now and try and somehow make this team better. Because I always say this as well. His Champions League winning team that finished on 97 points, for me, played the best football under Jurgen Klopp. I think we played better football than we did in the Premier League season. In the Premier League season, I just think we're super efficient. But in that Champions League year with 97 points, look, we were what everyone forgets is we were like 3 millimeters away.
Man City away
with winning a Premier League and Champions League double that year.
We were also being invincible winners, and we the second as well.
So I think Klopp was right about not buying anyone, but also the club maybe should have just gone, look, we agree with that, but we've got this geezer over
Jamie,
here.
we talked about last season as well. We talked about last season and before you came in. We said the reason he persisted with the current players, the last season's players, because what they've done in the quad season. You know what I mean? They didn't drop form or anything like that. I know you think like some of them dropped form, like Fabinho and all that stuff, but we discussed before. But if you look at from his point of view, he thought like, they needed one or 4 trophies. Maybe I've got to like keep them on one more season and see where we go from there. But he was wrong in that. I agree with that 100%. But it's all about the manager, isn't it? At the end of the day, and his decisions. And you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But
you live and die by it.
But this season, I think he's going to rebuild. Hopefully, he'll get the right players in. And we're going to talk about this player. One second, Harley. We're going to talk about this player. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on. What do you think of him as a player 12th man. A lot of Liverpool fans are already, going mad about it. He's 30 years old. We're buying him for 19 million. Is he what we need? Like before that, they were saying we need an experienced player as well as a youngster in that midfield. He is the experienced player. We might get a youngster player after that as well. But do you know much about him? Do you think the fan base are, wrong about him as well?
I do know quite a bit, considering not that I've followed this player a long time, or not that I even watched the Bundesliga that much, but I did watch the World Cup. I know it's international versus club. A lot of people might make that type of that argument, but I also know that this player, from what I've read, from what I've heard from a lot of people that do watch the Bundesliga, that this player is someone that is unsung, as in he has a lot of people in his fan base that truly do love this player, love the effort, love the heart, love the dedication that he brings to the game. You don't become captain of a Bundesliga team, especially as an Asian player. Okay, not many Asian players end up becoming captains in the Bundesliga, but he's one of those unique players in that he's the captain of his national team and was the captain of his Bundesliga club. And it's one of those situations where his play is something that we definitely need. He's a possession-based player, as in he's a possession style player, and he's somewhat of a despite his 5'10" stature, he's someone that is incredibly consistent and good at aerial duels, something that I would like to see us to continue to improve and enhance. And if anything, he's got a motor. We all complained about the Hendo and Fab somewhat losing their ability to maintain the intensity, to maintain the consistency of the energy that we needed on the pitch to do these counter pressing, to do the relentless pursuit of the defense. And this player has that ability, despite the fact he's 30. I get that, but in this, he still has the legs. He still, if anything, if you watch actually Japan plays a counter press team. They're a very heavy-minded, heavy-centered counter press team, and he was a central point in that team. So with this player, I know that he's not someone that's like this world-class player that's going to be able to put a team on his back and carry them through to the next level or to the next stage. But he is certainly a player like a Milner, like a Ginny, like someone that is one of those workhorses that the work doesn't necessarily go, he's an amazing player because of that, trick or flair that he brings to the pitch, but he's an amazing player because he just is consistent. He's going to give you that. One thing I loved about Milner was you always knew you're going to get a 7 out. You're going to get a 7 out of 10 performance out of Milner, no matter what. You're always going to get that 7, if not 8, if not 9, but still always going to get that 7 out of 10 performance. This Endo is that kind of player that he brings consistency and he brings that engine, and that's what I'm looking for him to contribute.
Uncle Rose, the same goes for you, mate. Do you think like a lot of fans are gonna eat their words about this guy, because there's a lot of criticism coming Liverpool's way at the moment by signing a 30-year-old for that much money as well, like 19 million. With that, a lot of people knowing about Endo, you know what I mean? But from what the club are saying, he's better than what people think he is. He will bring a lot to this team, and he might be the Milner that we need right now to calm the players down when they have to be on the pitch. If you look at the Chelsea game the other day, we was rushing too much. We was the players looked tired in the first half because we was doing things out of the ordinary. Maybe he's the kind of player that's going to come into the team and say, you know what, put my foot on the ball. Everybody calm down. Let's just pass the ball about, get our energy back, and get the game going again. Do you think he's going to be that type of player at Liverpool Football Club? And what do you think about the fans, not being happy with him as well?
I mean, initially at the day, I was one of the fans, and then I started to think about it, and I thought, nah, man, I thought to myself, well, they ain't going to go for this player for, no apparent reason. Do you know what I mean? They've got to have seen something in this player that's going to be good for the team. Do you know what I mean? That's when I sort of looked at some of these games he played and stuff, and then I did a short and say, look, don't sleep on his age. He's got that energy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what he's gonna bring to the club is energy. He's gonna bring his experience as obviously an older player and stuff. and some of the players around him, younger players around him, can learn off him. Like, we've got Bajcetic coming through. Do you know what I mean? As potentially as a DM, he can learn off somebody like Endo. He can learn off him. So he's going to bring a wealth of experience. Do you know what I mean? One of the main reasons that on Sunday is just like everything was just going through midfield. Everything was going through midfield, and there was nobody there in the day that could stop the attack in midfield. Do you know what I mean? Everything just going for. When he got that Enzo now, he's gonna stay in his specific place and stop the attack, cut it for further, because he's a sort of person today. Right? He's not shy of a tackle. No way is he shy of a tackle. He gets back. You know what I mean? And at the day, he's not shy in having a shot himself. Do you know what I mean? So you get an experienced player there. Yes, at the day it was a bit of a surprise at the day because we was like linked with Amrabat. And most recently, do you know what I mean? We had we put in a bid for Caicedo, and we all know how that went. Then there was Lavia, we all know how that went. Do you know what I mean? So I think the fan base was probably thinking that they well, look, we should be going for somebody on that level, but it doesn't actually mean that. It means that I think sometimes you just have to go for the player that is the right person for you. And Endo would be good for us as long as we get somebody else as well, like a Decore. If we can get Amrabat, do you know what I mean? You get more bodies in there. Do you know what I mean? It is going to work. Do you know what I mean? On his own, I think it can work, but it'd be hard. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be more easy in the day if you got another body in there. Do you know what I mean? To sort of solidify it still. But I'm actually looking forward to it because I made a reference on my show earlier on. Nobody really knew about Song until he kind of come to the Premiership. I mean, I think he was offered to one of the Premiership team. I think it was Arsenal. I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on it. But they said he's not good enough. He goes to Dortmund and he applies to trade at Dortmund, gets himself up, and then he comes to Tottenham. And you know what? He's a world beater. So one thing about these Japanese and Korean players, they've just got energy to burn. They literally got energy to burn. I mean, he's 30 years old, but he looks about 20. Do you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? So, he's got energy to burn. So, I think he's going to be an exciting player for us. And I'm literally looking forward to him putting on that shirt and, doing a job for us in midfield. You know what I mean? So, don't let the age and they sort of put you off on the ability of that player because I feel he's a good player. You know what I mean? Give him a chance.
How about you, Harley? What do you think of him, mate? And the fan base is going mad about it, like we're signing him.
I really like the signing for several reasons. Now, I heard a 19 million figure be put out there. That's in euros. I want to remind people. So in pounds, that is roughly, and I worked it out on the stream with Fozzy. I actively got the calculator out and done this. It's 15.5 million. So that's even cheaper than a lot of people are realising. I don't think it's a bad piece of business for a Bundesliga captain, a national team captain, year left on his deal, who by all accounts is a versatile consummate professional. A thing that I think's being overlooked, however, is let's touch on that versatility for a moment. So the defensive midfielder is the main thing we need right now. But he can play right back. If you can play defensive midfielder and he can play right back, then that tells me that when Alexander Arnold needs a rest in the smaller games or in the Europa League games, we've got ourselves a backup there. He's played centre back as well. Now, this is just an idea. I'm not necessarily saying we will do this or we should do this, but you could consider him for that Robertson role, which everyone is saying needs either a backup or to be replaced. I personally don't think Robertson does need to be replaced. I think overall he and his teammates just need to get used to the whole thing. All needs to gel together. That's a different topic, however. So keeping on to the actual player, I think it's going to be one of them Moneyball signings. I think it's going to be something that we haven't seen in a while, and that is a player who is undervalued in the market come in and be a solid part of Liverpool's squad. Do I necessarily think he should be the starting defensive midfielder for all 38 games of the season? Well, 37 now. No, to be honest, I don't. But do I see him as someone who can be a valuable squad player? Absolutely. And again, touching on something that Uncle Rod's mentioned, Asian players now, it's a market that is being tapped into a lot more. Look at Arsenal with Tomiyasu. Look at, and this is the prime example. Look how Celtic have been scouting in the Japanese league. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this, but they've gone to the Japanese league and they've brought in players like Daisen Maeda, Kyogo Furuhashi, Ryo Hatate, who was in fact a midfielder that would have been on my radar not long ago before we brought in the age that we did. I think he's extremely underrated. So Celtic's scouting team is excellent and they find gems in the Japanese league. I feel as though oftentimes, for whatever reason, Asian players from both their own leagues and in other leagues are undervalued. Tomiyasu, again, was a player who was on my radar before Arsenal picked him up. Excellent piece of business. Endo now is what in my opinion will turn out to be an underpriced piece of business. So if you want to say that we've only got the Caicedo money, which is 110 million, and we spent 15 million, that leaves us with roughly 95 million to bring him in bodies. And what I like about the versatility of the player is it allows us to pivot in terms of if we see a for whatever reason someone who can be an excellent right back on the market, then we can go for that player because of his versatility. Or if we can't necessarily find that left-sided centre back we want this window, he could possibly cover there at least until January or the summer because of his versatility. I just like how having him there allows us to pivot in terms of the profile of players we can target because he fits into so many different positions on the pitch in different roles and he has the experience. So the more I think about it, the more shrewd I think it is, and I like it. I do. But again, I have to say, I would like more than just him to come in, ideally.
100%. Nurbits, take it away, bro. As I said about the fans, about the fan base, not happy with the signing, and what you think of him as a player. I know you've done that analysing about him today as well.
Yeah. I did a video on him, 2 videos on him. First one was just I tried to make a video where I was watching the World Cup game between Japan and Germany. YouTube obviously did its thing and took it down straight away, and I was thinking maybe because it's been a year, maybe that YouTube will forget about that kind of game. But anyway, so I got taken down straight away. So then I did a quick one, and then I did another one that was just a little bit more in detail. So with the player, the reason why a lot of fans are up in arms is because what happened a couple of days beforehand with Caicedo and Lavia. Had he come in June, it would have been received a lot differently. And what I didn't like about it, some of the people just go on social media, and we're all on social media, so we get to see all the comments. And he probably saw a lot of those comments where people question, who is this guy? Who is he? Another people call him another Arthur. And I didn't like that. However, as 12 man, I did a little bit of research as well last night and this morning. The guy is very, very, very underrated and highly appreciated by a lot of people in Germany. Yeah. And what I saw as a common theme from his gameplay was his actual intelligence in positioning and also reading those late runs from midfield. Yeah. The way he would constantly follow those guys and hound them, and honestly become like a pest, like a mosquito that don't go away. And these guys, I was watching the Germany game versus Japan. Yeah. Musiala had a nightmare because that guy was on him. Because that's where Musiala tries to operate in between the lines, in between the midfield and the defensive line. This guy, he was just staying away from him after the first tackle that Endo gave to him. He was just staying away from him constantly. And I thought, this guy could actually bring something to Liverpool, especially when people underestimate him. And I hope that the other teams do underestimate him, and then they find themselves in a game with him and him not backing down. Yeah. And he's got and a lot of people saying the Japanese or Asian players have a lot of energy to burn. And it's more like culturally. Like I think Japanese people have been taught that never to give up and give your all in everything that you do and what have you. So culturally, they've been brought up to give 100% and never leave like anything behind. And as a lot of people did say, there's a lot of players has been doubted from that region for so long because they're undersized or they're weak or whatever you. Those are the excuses that were given. But now you're seeing that a lot of those is just being thrown in the bin because Mitoma and Endo and even Minamino, these guys are flourishing in Europe, and so you'll see a lot more skillful, especially they're very, very skillful players over there. Yeah. So you'll see a lot more coming through. And I think it was Arsene Wenger that said this is an untapped market. We need to shop here a lot more than people are doing at the moment.
100%.
His ability to win the ball in the air as well. You mentioning his size reminded me that despite the fact he's 5'10", 5'11", his jumping ability and his ability in general to win the ball in the air is really, really, like, it stands out. Like, he's got almost elite numbers in that, and for someone of his size to be able to do that is mad to me. So it shows the level of physicality that he does have. So I just thought that was something to bring to attention. And in terms of other teams underestimating him, I'd like to think certainly our scouting team will have recognised it. But if you compare him statistically in a lot of kind of aspects, he's quite up there. He is quite up there. So yeah, like a lot of German football experts, so to speak, talking and absolutely praising him to the highest degree. I've heard people say he's one of the best defensive midfielders in the Bundesliga. Stuttgart fans are understandably heartbroken as well. I understand Stuttgart and Liverpool's a step up, especially at the age of 30. But honestly, all of this, the more I hear about him, I have watched a small sample size of him, but the more I hear about him being able to do it consistently, the more I'm kind of looking forward to getting him in the squad.
100%. Jamie, end it there with this one, brother.
Right. Before Jamie goes, is it all right if I just jump off because I need to?
Big up, brother.
No, please pick up a chat, you see it.
See you in a bit, guys. Enjoy yourselves.
See you later.
No worries.
Nura Beats, I'll get you on the channel. Hit me up on Twitter, man, if you're still watching. If we got, like, this is the way football works now. If we went into the market yesterday and paid 75 million for a defensive midfielder no one's ever heard of, everyone would be gassed. Everyone would be like, oh my God, we just spent 75 million. I don't know who the player is, but I'm trusting the club who spent 75 million. We went and bought a guy from Germany who's a Japanese international and captain for club and country. That cost us 15 with add-ons up to 20, and he's 30 years of age. Look, yesterday I was at a situation when I did the show, I was a bit down and depressed, but just because, not on the player himself, just a bit around the club really, because we went from highs like this time last week ago for Casado to then me driving home from holiday, looking at Twitter. Well, I weren't driving, my wife was driving when I was looking at Twitter. I just needed to make that out. And then seeing that he doesn't want to come, then we go back to Lavia and he tells us to pee off. So we go from that level down, and then it goes down to that. I can understand everyone's mood. Yeah. And the more you understand about this player, and the more you watch this player, and you understand what he can give us, this might be a really shrewd bit of business by the football club. Now, I'm not sitting there saying he's a well beater or any nonsense like that. I'm saying this could be a shrewd bit of business because he looks a good fit. He looks a good fit for the club and the way we play. He's very front-footed as a defensive midfielder, you know. He can ping a pass as well. He's got a good ping on him. He's got a shot on him. His passing accuracy and the amount of times he passes forward is a lot higher than Casado and Lavia in them stats. And I'm not comparing him to saying he's better. He's not. I'm just like saying what he can do. So I can see why Liverpool have gone for him. I've read today that Jurgen Klopp spoke to him on the phone to do the final thing. So Klopp's obviously into him. He's looked at him. I think Liverpool have looked at him in the market. A lot of people are saying it's a panic buy. You don't do a panic buy at 15 million, then go with add-ons up to 20 million. That's not a panic buy for me. Yeah. I think they looked at him. I think they were looking in to come in maybe with other players. But because it's all gone downhill, got one of the players on there. Remember, Neil Jones and everyone said it. They got a massive list that they're going down of players that they've scouted. So they've obviously looked at him. George Spack came in for a reason. Jurgen Klopp wanted George Spack to come in. He came in for a reason. He's Klopp's man. Klopp obviously seen there's some talent in Germany we can maybe look at. He looked at him. I've read articles on him. I've listened to people in Germany talk about him.
Right.
And they all say he's a good little player, man. It's a shrewd bit of business. Also, he's versatile. I think he can do a job for us, but the problem is, I don't think he shouldn't be our number one DM. I think we should go out and get that number one DM who's a bit younger that will stay at the football club for the next few years, like a Decore or someone like that. I think Decore is, although I think Decore is actually a bit more box to box than people give him credit for. I think he should spend him more because he's at Palace and Roy Hodgson's his manager. But I think you should get one of them players, and you got this geezer as well who can come in and do a job. And you know, his energy is so high. He's technically really gifted. He's quite mobile. Look, he's actually, as a 30-year-old right now, he's actually better than last year's Fabinho. Right? He just is. He's better than last year's Fabinho.
Let me put it to you in this context. Sorry to interrupt. Let me put it to you in this context. If you add up the amount of minutes they've both played throughout their professional careers, I believe I read somewhere that Fabinho has, I think, something like 1,000 more, roughly. I can't remember the exact number, but I'm certain that Endo has played less minutes than Fabinho, despite the ages. Yeah. So people don't realise that it's not necessarily just age, it's mileage as well.
No, man, I've got to run though, Fozzie, because
big up, bro. Big up. Thanks for coming on, bro.
No
Much appreciated.
Talk to you again soon, guys.
How
guys. See you later on.
I just wanted to add, so I do have some of the scouting report on him, and I did compile a lot of the report.
Yeah, look at that.
Well done, he's researching it. You know what I like about 12 Man? He never comes on the show without doing research.
Of course.
Big up 12 Man. Big up.
Big up, bro.
Yeah. I did do quite a bit because I'm the more I started reading, the more I got excited. So this is some of the readback of the scouting report on him and everything else. Endo is excellent at closing central passing lanes into the final third, where he's responsible for being the defensive anchor in front of the back three. And can be really observed. He positionally astute with a very strong reading of the game, knowing when the time is appropriate to move out and close, or when to sit off and provide protection for the defensive line. He copes well in covering large pockets of space. Let me key on that. He copes well in covering large pockets of space, a necessity given that Stuttgart can be open in their midfield third as they press forward from the front line. The dynamism and energy in his game enables him to cover large distances and consistently compete in challenges, both in the air and the ground, where he has a 70% win rate when it comes to aerial duels. I wanted to just bring up that major part and point. There were times when Fab last year, especially by a lot of the critics of him, were saying that he had so much space to cover. He had so much detail and ground to pick up. And we were all talking about how he had somewhat, in our eyes, lost a step somewhat. Fab One was never a fast, like burner or something like that on the pitch as is. And he had already lost somewhat of a step in essence. And when you take that into account, the fact that we're about to get a player that has an engine, is quick enough to get in and cover large patches of space for our club. It'll allow for Trent to do that whole inverted halfback and roaming forward and doing an advanced positioning. It'll allow for us to not be really worried necessary that we have these open spaces, and the fact that he's set up set up as a player that is adjusted to knowing how to play with three backs, with a three-back setup. And he's played with a four, and he's played in like a 4-2-3-1, I believe. I have that part of the stat. Yeah, he's played in he's played in a 4-2-3-1. He's played in a 4-1-4-1. But he's also played in front of a 3-1-4-2 or a 3-4-2-1. All these different formats of basically having a three-back system. He's prepared for, and that's something that we need, because trying to put these players into these roles that they're not really comfortable with, sometimes can have a negative effect. And
100%, brother.
Definitely
100%.
Need,
read Rafi. That's for you. Rafi's asking your question, mate.
Just say it once again.
Ravi's asking you a question.
Oh, okay.
12 minutes, yeah.
12th man. Let's be real. It's a panic buy from the club to save face for embarrassment, but it has it. Endo hasn't done anything in world football, only been in a relegation scrap. This is why I think that, I mean, everyone's welcome to their own opinions, but I think that's a poor take in that this way. He mentioned relegation. Yes, Stuttgart has been in relegation, but the person that is given credit and the reason why he's a cult hero for Stuttgart for saving them from relegation is Endo. And not only did he do it once, he did it twice.
They were buttoned for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I'll let you go. Also, what we got to remember, we got two relegated players at the day, one from Hull and one from Newcastle. And what happened? They won the Champions League and then won the league. And you know what I mean? So this kind of like, this narrative that is out there that, he's come for the club in a relegated sort of like relegated dogfight. It doesn't diminish how much of a good player he is. You know what I mean? Sorry, carry on now. I'm talking, man. Carry on.
No, you're spot on. And then if anything, you know what? Sometimes we have to have those players like your Milners, like your role players, the players that are somewhat of like that situational player or that player that provides the bridge from the to the other players. Because one notable thing in the scouting report that I read is that he has the ability to complement creative players. He doesn't have to be the creative player. He doesn't have to be, the Diaz or the McAllister or the Dom. He's not trying to be those players. He's trying to basically complement them by allowing them to say, okay, go off and be creative. And the gaps or the spaces that are created by you leaving or going forward, I'll be able to, cover and be able to take care of those the gaps that are created. And that's something that we need. That's what Ginny did. That's what a lot of that's what Hendo did at times. That's what Milner did when he played for us when he was on the pitch. Those players that you're not looking for them to be that creative spark or that that person that's going to bring you goals galore, but you're looking for those players that are going to be like, Trent's out of position or Trent's too far advanced, and you'll be able to feel confident that player is going to be able to cover up.
Every top team had a player like this at 12 man. Every top team have players like this.
Of course.
Absolutely.
All the way from 70s, 80s, 90s, they all had this type of players. So you need those ugly kind of players.
They're necessities. They're necessities. You can't have a world class from top to bottom.
Well, look at PSG. Didn't PSG have world class top to bottom 12 man?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look what happened. Yeah.
You need certain players to enable your stars to be able to do what they have to do. In essence, you can't. Again, Bill Shankly, I believe it was, famously said, it takes 8 players to carry 8 men to carry a piano, and 3 to play the thing.
wise man, yeah.
That's not nice today.
I love that guy. I wish I met him, man. He's funny, man.
I've always said,
go on, brother.
If I could sit down and talk for an hour with any man, past or present, alive or dead, it'd be Bill Shankly. 100%. From the stories I was told from childhood, everything, mate. The respect I have for a man who never even lived in my lifetime, it's unbelievable. But yeah, no, 12th man, you're 100% dead on with what you're saying. I'd like to add to a point there. This hasn't saved us from embarrassment at all. If anything, this has brought more scrutiny and more criticism onto the club than ever. So
100%. Yeah.
I also don't think that Klopp and the recruitment team sign players based off the opinions of the wider fan base, with all due respect. I don't think they sit there and think, well, oh no, people on social media are going to think we're embarrassing if we don't bring in this £15 million player. I just don't think that's what's happening at all. I just don't think that's what's happening. So yeah, that's my take on it. I believe this signing has brought more scrutiny on the club rather than reduce it. So,
but the thing is, how do we care what other people think? Liverpool fans, do we actually care? We don't We don't really
No,
care.
as long as you
I mean,
deliver.
saying,
As long
I
as you
implore
deliver, that's
people-
all that matters.
I'm just saying,
No.
I implore people to think about things like these before they make statements. That's all I'm saying. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm just letting you know what I think about it and why I think people should think before they say certain things.
Yeah.
I think also like I don't want to say critique it, but I think it's a little bit lazy to compare him to Arthur Melo, for instance. I just saw Robbie say that. Like I'm saying it's lazy, not because I think Robbie's lazy. I'm just saying that I think that comparison is something that I've seen on a lot of rivals as well, putting that out there. But I've also seen that being used as an example. Oh, well, the Arthur Melos. Arthur Melo was a player that had promise, but was injured. It was injured, and then was working back from injuries and everything else, and was trying to get back to fitness. And the amount of commitment and amount of actual reliance in his fitness was going to be something that determined if he was going to get play or wasn't going to get play. And he did not have that. So you can't say the same for Endo. Endo hasn't been injured really. He's missed like 2-3 games in the last 3-4 years or something like that. Ridiculous statistics like that.
Exactly. I love Arthur Melo. I absolutely loved Arthur Melo. At the time, I was saying and it's a big if, we can get this player fit, we can get the Barcelona Arthur Melo, who was a much better player than he's ever been given credit for. However, he was injured the whole time. So if Endo can beat Arthur Melo's very underwhelming record of only 13 minutes played on the pitch for Liverpool, he's probably been a better signing, hasn't he? And that's no disrespect to Arthur. As I said, I loved the idea at the time. I fought with my chest. Like, if this lad can get fit, we've got ourselves a very, very decent stopgap. At the very least, he can control the midfield, which at the time we were struggling with immensely. I'd probably say it was actually only Curtis Jones who kind of changed our midfield, being able to retain possession a bit more and have a bit more control. I thought Arthur Melo was going to come in and be that player. It didn't quite work out, but it's one of them where I like the signing. It's just he wasn't fit, was he? But seriously, all this lad Endo has to come in and do is play more than 13 minutes, and he's had a better fucking run. So, and let's be honest, with that injury record, of touch wood, obviously, 3 games missed in 3 years. I highly doubt having Arthur Melo kind of career. That's a very good fit.
That's all we're asking for. We're asking from a team that we continue to watch players be injured, continue to not be able to take the rigors of a Klopp system. A player like, for instance, Ginny, who was rarely injured for Liverpool, was able to obviously maintain the rigors of the Klopp system. That's the kind of player that we need to be consistently able to ask, hey, we know what we're going to get from you. We know that you're going to give everything. You're going to run through a brick wall. That's one of the quotes I've often heard about this player. He would run through a brick wall if the coach asked him. Those kinds of players are important. I like Natty Phillips. I like Phillips. Like Nat Phillips is a good player. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but then again, Nat Phillips played his role when necessary, and I think that Endo has more talent than Nat Phillips, but I'm also saying that Nat Phillips played a part in this team, and he played it well to the point where it's a shame that he's not getting the minutes or wasn't able to continue to get minutes, but doesn't mean that he wasn't a contributor to our club.
Now,
I agree. I agree. 100%. Sorry,
no, go. That's fine.
I agree with you 100%. Sometimes it's a bit disingenuous to sort of like say that, this player is this and this player is that, because it's sort of like it's not the household name. Do you know what I mean? So let's have it straight. A lot of criticism that sort of like Endo would get would be to the fact at the end of the day that he's not the household name that Liverpool fans were looking at. Do you know what I mean? Looking for. Do you know what I mean? They're probably, they're probably looking for, I don't know. They couldn't get they couldn't literally get Caicedo, so they're probably looking for like a Gravenberch or this and that. Do you know what I mean? A real household name. Do you know what I mean? But you can have a household name, but don't necessarily mean that A, he's going to be the right fit for your club, and B, at the end of the day, that he's going to do the job. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes he's these like kind of unknown entities as such, at the end of the day, that pop up in the day that do the business for your club and stuff. And I see I see a lot of potential, you know what I mean, in like Endo. And what I'm looking for now is for him to come to Liverpool and put that to sort of like put that to practice. You see, it's the same kind of like situation that they with Darwin Núñez and they because at the day so like people was comparing him to Haaland and Haaland put up these numbers and that. Do you know what I mean? And Darwin Núñez didn't. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden he's crap. We shouldn't have brought him. We should have left him where he was. If he doesn't perform by December, he's out. And all these sort of things. Do you understand what I'm getting at? You get all those talks. But what they don't do is just give that freaking player time. Give him time to settle in. Because every player at the end of the day is different. You understand what I'm saying? Some will take longer to bed in. And some will take a short to bed in. Now,
Fabinho, Robertson.
Fabinho, a lot. Now, for instance, look, right? Haaland's put up these numbers last season, and they're amazing numbers he put up last season. I ain't gonna lie, it was amazing numbers. But who's to say at the end of the day that he does it the same this season? Do you know what I mean? Who's to say he does the same this season? He may not do it. And
well, look at Salah's first season. He scored over 45 goals, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, but and
his second next season it wasn't the same, was it?
It wasn't the same. Although he got the goal, I think he got the golden boot still, didn't he?
Yeah, he still got the golden boot, but he didn't score as much.
But he wasn't as prolific as the season before. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what you got to do in the day with players, any players that we bring in, we have to give them time. Now, in the case of like the guy there, the Brazilian hologram, case of him in the day, right? I think that was like one of the mistakes, you know what I mean, that I would talk about. It was one of the mistakes, you know what I mean? Like, as I said, the day, Klopp does a lot of good things, but he has done some bad things, has done some mistakes. I think at the day, sort of like with, what's his name again? The Brazilian guy, midfielder. No, the other one. No, the other one not come in. Yeah, for Liverpool, that came in, only played 15 minutes.
Arthur, he's talking about
Arthur Miller, yeah. I do think that was a bit of that was a mistake. Do you know what I mean?
Uncle Ross,
was a panic buy.
1 second, brother. These are the kind of things that makes me think Klopp is not as involved as people think he is. If he gets players in, that's his third player or fourth player that's come in and he doesn't play them. Like we got Kabak didn't play long, did he? And then you got what was it? Davis didn't play long, and now you got Arthur.
So everybody's
saying
Davis didn't play at all.
Yeah, so everybody that says Klopp buys the players and all that stuff and gets these players, they could be wrong. You know what I mean? In that way as well.
No, I do agree with you. That's why I say sort of like in certain situations, and there's some stuff at the end of the day that Klopp's done bad. You know what I mean? Whether I sort of like he hasn't bought the player, but he's agreed with it. He signed off with it. Do you know what I mean? You know, so there's some things at the day that he's done bad, but then he's done a lot of. He's also done a lot of good as well. We have to speak about that. He's done a lot of good. Do you know what I mean? For the club, and he's changed the way that Liverpool play as a club. Because remember, we remember the dark days of Liverpool where we couldn't win a game for love or money. And that. We remember the dark days under Benitez. We remember the dark days with Roy Hodgson, Brendan Rodgers. Do you know what I mean? Even Kenneth Dalglish, when he came back after all those years, there were dark times and I think that. And finally, what you got at the end of the day is a manager that's come in and said, look, you know what I mean? It's like his work rate has been unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? The way he hunts down the ball, the way the counter-attack, everything about him at the end of the day has been brilliant. Do you know what I mean? His passion that he shows for the team. Do you know what I mean? You know, like when he won the league at the end of the day, he won the league and the man was in tears. He couldn't even do the interview. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, you know, there are a lot of good things he does for the club, but a lot of bad things. But I think Arthur Miller and they sort of like that was a panic buy. That was a panic buy.
Yeah.
We didn't buy. It was a
we didn't buy him, but we still paid his wages, isn't it? That's what.
Yeah. So.
He also paid a little bit of a fee up front as well, so you've had
it's like 5 million. It was
a last day thing, innit? Who can we get?
So,
you know what I mean,
it was him or no one, wasn't it?
That's it.
In hindsight,
that's what I'm saying.
It's either take the risk or not. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. When you do panic buys like this, or panic buys, panic loans, or whatever it may be, when you do the panic situations in the way, these sort of type of things do happen. Often enough, it does happen. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like, but you know, put this way, in the day, for every like one bad player that he's probably bought, probably got in. Do you know what I mean? He's probably got in like 2 or 3 other good players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know, we just have to sort of like pull in the reins a bit and everything now. And I think at the end of the day, look, you cannot judge Endo until he starts playing games.
Spot
Do you know what I mean? You have to wait.
I feel
he
bad
plays
as well,
games.
Uncle Ross. I feel bad as well because I said like we've got a 30-year-old, we're paying 19 million, but you know, like when your emotions
I
get
said as
hold
well,
of
I said as well.
you say the wrong things, don't you? Then you calm down a bit. That's us. That's our generation. That's what we do. Then we calm down a bit and you think to yourself, maybe I'm wrong here. I've been asking for an experienced player, and there is the experienced player. Maybe we're gonna buy another midfielder next that's younger than him. You know what I mean? Then they could like, complement each other.
Off air, you know, I'm sure you won't mind me saying when you first
go for it.
When you first heard about this transfer, you were like, what the? You know what I mean? Well,
Uncle Ross, calm down.
I can see now that we're like probably 24 hours ahead, something like that, maybe a little bit more. You're kind of coming around to it now a little bit.
Yeah.
I think for you, it's not even the player. I think for a lot of people, it's simply the fear that we won't do more than this.
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of.
You're right, man. You're right.
Because you know, like
me,
you know what?
I'm not worried.
No, carry on. Sorry, go.
I'm just saying I'm not worried because I think the money's quite clearly there.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what I say? You're 100% right, and you've hit the nail on his head. You know what I mean?
That's the thing that worries us. Yeah,
that's the best way you can explain anything. That I think at the end of the day, there's always this feeling at the end of the day that we're just gonna get this guy and that's it. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that was worrying a lot of Liverpool fans at the day. So look, you know, if you're just gonna get this 30-year-old midfielder, his energy may be good, but you can't just have him on his own. Now,
do you know what I think that, Uncle Ross?
You're right.
Do you know what I think that the reason I think that? Yeah, sorry guys, I'm speaking. You know, I haven't spoken for you. But the reason I thought that is because what worries me about this transfer, guys, in regards to Liverpool spending, is they had their ambition to buy Lavia or Caicedo. This is the kind of players they wanted to buy. They scouted them thoroughly, and you know, as a human, as a level, as well as a player. So that didn't work out. I'm thinking to myself, they know about this kid. Smacker knows about him. He's 29 years old. He's experienced. He could be a pit stop, like until January when they could scout some more players. You know what I mean? That's what I kept on thinking. That's what made me think like, is this a pit stop? And like just to like get a player in that's gonna play in the first team. And then we don't sign anyone until January when we're going to scout for our players and get the right ones in. Do you get what I'm saying? Because Liverpool don't panic buy it, Uncle Ross. You know that. You guys know that. They don't do panic buys. So that's what scared me more than anything. And hopefully, I could be wrong, but I'm hearing about this, the Corey. He's the one they're looking at. And they did want him, don't forget, guys, they did want him earlier as well. But I think it was a 75 million price tag that put them off. So that's what you got to look at as well.
I'm hearing now on the subject of the Corey. Well, I know actually that Elise has penned a new deal with Crystal Palace, so if he isn't going to be leaving, I think that gives us a little bit more leeway in that deal to try and I also think
definitely true. He's not leaving. Definitely true.
Yeah.
I also think with this Endo deal now, I think a big problem for us in a negotiating room would be like they would turn around and they would be like, well, you don't have a senior DM, so I want 80 million. Now we can turn around and go, well, hang on, we've just brought in this Stuttgart captain, this Japan captain, who is statistically very good. So we could go in there and we could argue at a negotiating table, but we don't need him. We don't need him now. So you're not going to have our checks down. You're not going to demand we pay 70 million, 80 million. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to basically bend us right over. No, we will pay an appropriate amount. We're not going to let you have our undies around our ankles. We are going to
pause.
You know what I mean?
Yo, big man. When you say that sort of things,
pause
after.
Sorry.
Pause all the time. It's funny though. Man said he can't have a keks down, you know.
Yeah.
I like this kid. I love this kid. I really do love this kid, man.
Thank you very much.
He's a good kid. I'll tell you what. You know what, isn't he? You got some great people on your panel and stuff. Yeah.
Well, you guys are the best. I'm only getting the best on.
You got this best, and this kid at the day is one of them, mate. He's a real deal, mate. He's a real fucking deal. I'll tell you.
Thank you very much, lads.
Guys.
One last.
Go on, brother. Go on.
Parting shot is this. Look, let's just be happy that we have a player that's about to join the club, that is excited to join the club, that wants to be here, that is looking to make a mark, looking to, contribute in any way, in any form that he can, and that's one of those things I get that that a lot of us don't watch the Bundesliga. Some of us don't watch the Asian teams play, in a sense with the international play and everything else, but all the same, this player this is a dream move, as K-Mac put it. Yeah, it is a dream move for this player, but it's also a move that he wants. If you have a dream move, you're going to give your heart, you're going to give your soul, you're going to give everything you can, and that's something that I know this player is going to do for this club. He's going to figure out one way or another how to contribute and be a part of this club to really bring it some honor and grace. And that's one thing I'm really excited about seeing, is him honoring that
100%, brother, 100%.
It's cliche, but he'll play for the badge.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Like Stefano says, I believe it in within 5 games wins fans over. Listen, like his experience takes you a long way in football, and as we all know. Volt says Japan players don't need a lot of time to settle in, so to settle, just give them lads a football and they are happy. Yeah, we have to give the guy a chance. That's what we're all saying here. And sometimes we jump the gun. I'm one of them. I jump the gun and I say silly things, but I calm down at the end, and then I realize maybe it's a good decision. You know what I mean? Like the biggest issue with Liverpool fans is, guys, they listen to our rival fans. When rival fans start making fun of you because the guy's age and where he came from and all that stuff, you get riled up and you say the wrong things. That's what it is, man. We need to.
People want to win this transfer market, don't they? People want to be able to take
listen, what's happened has happened. What's happened has happened, Harley. What's happened has happened. We have to move on now. You know what I mean? We take that loss to those players, but we move on. If you keep dwelling, it ain't gonna work. All right, guys.
We move, man.
We move. We'll go preview the game. So guys, obviously we've got Bournemouth next. Last time we faced them at Anfield, we beat them by 9-0, I believe.
Yeah.
I nearly said 5. Wow. But yeah, so what do you guys think about this game? Let's start with Uncle Ross. What do you think about this game, man? Like, start off our season, has it come in a good time?
Yeah, I think it has come in a good time. I'm looking to give him a frigging hiding again. Do you know what I mean? Good hiding again. Long as Gapper doesn't play in midfield, I don't want Gapper to play in midfield, because I think Gapper playing in midfield on Sunday gone. I think that was one of our major problems. You understand me? Yeah. It was major problems. Look at you getting all fancy with this thing and you got here.
Tactical.
Man's getting all fancy and that. What's your name, blood? Listen, at the day, you know what? When I get my thing sorted out, I'll come to you, man. You're gonna help me out. You know what I mean? But yeah, 100%. So I do think at the day, so like putting Gapper in midfield on Sunday was a big mistake. But hey, that's something we had to do. I'm now hearing at the day that Curtis Williams is not going to be Curtis Jones. Sorry, Curtis Jones is not going to be available for the game on Saturday. Due to an ankle injury. He's got an ankle injury. Do you know what I mean? It's not meant to be serious, but I think as a precaution, they're not going to play him for Saturday. Do you know what I mean?
But Thiago's back, by the way, Uncle Rods.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. So you're probably looking at sort of like a Thiago or Bocetić at the day coming in. You know what I mean? Because you can't have Gakpo in midfield. Because not only that, I think Gakpo is wasted in midfield. He is wasted. He's a forward player, and he does. You know, this tracking back and defending. It's just not. It's just not in his game. It's not in his game. So I do think in the day, if you get the right balance in midfield, I would take out Gakpo and I'll put Thiago in. I'll just say, look, you know, Thiago start, and if that
do you keep Jota up front or do you put Gakpo there?
Yeah, I'll put Gakpo there and put Jota on the left. Jota on the left. I always think Jota in the day he's best coming off the left. You know what I mean?
Cutting in,
as a striker, like a central striker, I don't know that if that's him. Although he is a striker, but I think some people in the day sort of like do their best work. Even strikers themselves do their best work when they come off the wing, whether it comes off the left or whether they come off the right. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes,
and he does his best work when he comes off the left. You know what I mean? Does his best work there. So I will put Gakpo on the left. Not Gakpo, sorry. Jota on the left and Gakpo through the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you got firepower on the bench where you got sort of like, you got your likes of like, you know, Nunes and co. But my midfield will be sort of like Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Thiago. Do you know what I mean? That'll be my midfield. I'll say, look, you know what? Sorry to throw you in the deep end, Thiago, but you're needed. And obviously, at the end of the day, if you got Endo and that. It's clear to play for Saturday because I think he might be. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me. But if he's clear to play for Saturday, you have him on the bench.
Yeah. He has and then I believe he has to be signed by tomorrow morning. So by the time it hits 12 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, I don't believe he can be registered for that game then. So
right. So it has to be before 12 o'clock.
Yeah. So he'll have to be announced by the morning.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to say. I mean,
that's what I've heard. Don't take that as gospel. That's just something I've heard. So
I think you might be right. You know, because I think that was the same situation today with Caicedo. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You had to be signed before. You had to be signed, medical and all that had to be done and signed, didn't they? Before 12 o'clock on Friday, in order and day to be available on Sunday. So I think you are right, my friend. I think you're all right. You're spot on. But like but apparently in the day, from what I'm hearing, he's passed the medical and everything like that. Everything, all that is fine. So probably he might be available to play on Saturday. So then what you're doing is that you just like you have him on the bench. You know what I mean? Make him read the game read the game, and then you bring him on sort of like in the 60 or something minute, give him the last 20 minutes of the game. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Do you know what I mean? So you're not burning out Thiago. But I think the way to go at the day would be a midfield of Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Thiago. If I saw that midfield on Saturday, they're getting a frigging hiding. They're getting a hiding, blood. You know what I mean? Because the back four speaks for itself. And you've got Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, and Trent. Do you know what I mean? You know, the back four speaks for itself. I will tell Trent and they to to more or less hold his position. Don't try and bomb up the field and that. Do you know what I mean? Not until this other guy comes in and start playing.
But I think Uncle Ross, I think Trent will be all right now. You know, like considering he's got Szoboszlai and McAllister playing. If Thiago comes in, if this is the formation we're playing, I think Trent and Robertson have the license to go up. I honestly think that because like we discussed 12, and remember before we discussed this 12 man, like they're not going to be doubled up on like they used to be anymore. Because the likes of Szoboszlai and McAllister can keep other players occupied, if you know what I mean. So there won't be full focus like on Robertson and Trent anymore. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I feel you. I feel you.
Because they used to have this in it before, Uncle Ross, like someone on him, and they used to have another person on him. Now they're gonna be these guys are gonna be looking at these guys. You know what I mean? And Jota and this is how it's gonna be now. There's no more like the focus or the creativity is coming from Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson anymore. So let's double up on them. Now they will have more freedom on the pitch, if you know what I mean.
I feel like what I feel like I'm on Sky Sports all this technology. No, but if that's what you're saying, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Then at the day, well, look,
Just keep possession
Trent,
better. Just keep the possession better. I mean, that's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. Sort of like, if that's what you're saying, Trent, bomb up as much as you like because you're gonna get the cover. But I do think at the end of the day, sort of like, if you got a midfield of like Thiago, McAllister, and Szoboszlai, right, and then you got the likes of like Cody Gakpo, Salah, and Jota up front. They're getting a fucking hammering. They're getting a hammering. And you know what? I want 10 this time. I want 10. I ain't lying. I want 10.
Go ahead, 12 man. So what do you think, like, the formation that you want to go with the game, mate? Because we was discussing this off air, wasn't we?
I am I'm on record as saying is that I would like to see Thiago be our DM. I would like to see what he would be able to do, next to in that box 4, or even if it ends up being we stick to more of a traditional shape when it comes to the back line and having McAllister and Dom in front of Thiago. I still am cool with Thiago and Trent being the outlets for advancing the ball from the defensive part of the pitch. But where I would differ is I would start Nunez in the place in the 9, and I would also
give him confidence. Give him confidence in that.
Yes, and if there's anything that's going to be, I think being in the confines of Anfield is going to help him get that confidence. It's going to rise him. It's going to rise up and understand when he hears the Nunez chant go out there.
Yeah.
I would also I would still start Hackbo, but I would start Hackbo as the left wing. That's just my personal opinion. I know that might not necessarily happen. I'm not saying it's going to be a definite.
No. We've got to discuss it. This is discussion, so it's good.
But I just think that Hackpo would provide a little bit more of the track back defensive capabilities that he has of helping out Robertson on his side and helping McAllister be able to switch and go into a more advanced role where he can shade back and cover that space, or if not, retrieve the ball and be able to advance it forward. This is more of the shape of what I would see. And you know what? I mean, I could see Endo starting if he's able and available to start, only because in that way you could bring Thiago in for like at the 65th or the 75th minute.
Keep the ball going. Experience head,
to kind of like give him a run, but not necessarily be in a position where you're emphasizing that you're trying to get the most out of him from giving him a 50, 60, 70 minute run. Because what I would like to see is this team start to get their legs back underneath them to get into that 90-minute fitness, and I don't want to see Thiago pressed or pushed to a point where it ends up being a regression from his rehab, rehabilitation. That's what I would like to see, at least.
I like this team because what I like about this team, 12 man, and I can see your genius when you're looking at this, is what's behind Darwin Núñez. There's a reason I put the ball here. They all can pass the ball.
Absolutely.
Him and him as well. We saw these two. So he likes to run onto. Yeah, of course, Robertson can cross the ball. So he's got the best of every opportunity to score goals. Right or not, Harley? If you look at Darwin Núñez right now with these players around him, he's got the best opportunity, like through balls, crosses in the box, and intelligent passes at the same time. So the ball will be more right here for him to put it back in the net more often than not, right, Harley?
Yeah, especially when you consider the fact that Bournemouth, particularly around field against Liverpool, are probably going to be quite a low block team. Being able to play them balls into Núñez against the low to mid block and having him compete in the air, having him use his physicality, his movement to displace defenders and things like that. That will be very important. So absolutely. What in terms of how the whole team will be, I would start Núñez. In fact, the only change I would make to that front three would be to swap Cody Gakpo for Luis Diaz. That'd be my
Why is that? Why is that, bro? Explain.
The low block, probably.
The low block's an element of it. Then you've also got the kind of elements of the form he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He's scored in pre-season. He's scored an excellent goal against Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good goal, actually.
I want to kind of... We have so many good attacking options that there should be two main things considered on each and every single match day. One, the abilities of said players and what they will suit tactically for that particular game, both considering the team's strengths and the opposition's weaknesses. And then on top of that, you've got form. Sometimes it is as simple as Luis Diaz is in really good form right now, so you would play him. So yeah, his dribbling ability, his ability to draw players to him in them wide areas as well. A fullback will go out and meet him, and if a fullback goes out wide to meet him 1 versus 1, bang, done, past him, finish, see you later. That's just how good he is. Salah, that he picks himself goes without saying. And Nunes for all the reasons that we've just spoke about. In terms of the back four, I agree with the personnel. It's the midfield that's got the most question marks for me. And the reason why the midfield has the question marks is because we don't necessarily know who's going to be available.
Yeah. But Thiago's fit. Thiago is fit. I know that. That's what I've heard.
So I'm not unsure whether he'll be fit to play the full 90 or
that's the only thing.
Game or not. That's the problem. Whether Endo will be available or not is another one, and whether Curtis Jones, who did miss training apparently due to an ankle knock, as Rod said, whether he'll be available or not is another big question. Now, if I was picking the team and if Curtis Jones was available, he'd be my number 6. But let's say he's not, I'm probably looking at Thiago because I'm assuming that Endo won't be ready. And so I'm going to go with Thiago for this one, simply because we need someone who's good in the air. He's small, yet good in the air for his height. And we need someone who can win the ball back, which Thiago does well. Yeah. And we need someone to be able to retain possession as well, which is an easier task at Anfield against Bournemouth than Chelsea at the Bridge. But I feel like the lack of that controller and lack of someone who was really, really designated to be a sitting midfielder didn't necessarily help us. Why I'm really looking forward to getting a proper defensive midfielder in, though, is what happens is it can allow Robertson more freedom to go down the touchline, and then that defensive midfielder tucks into that left centre back position and build up there. And what's useful about that is you've got cover defensively. You've got someone who is adequate in the build up, and you can use Andy Robertson's ability further up the pitch to a lot more of a capacity, and it allows McAllister and Szoboszlai to just do what they do. Szoboszlai more so in the final third. With McAllister, I'm expecting a bit of both. I'm expecting him to be in the final third at times, but with what Diaz and Robertson look to do, with Diaz holding width and sometimes Robertson underlaps or sometimes Diaz cuts inside, I expect McAllister to actually be doing a lot of his work within his own half, and even within his own third, to help with the build-up, particularly when you've only got Virgil, Konate, the defensive midfielder, and Trent, and Robertson's gone forward. I expect McAllister or whoever is in that left centre mid position to be dropping him and helping to receive. So that would be my kind of expectation of the team. And I think we're in a really good position, and I think now is as good a time as any to get what should hopefully be an easy home game on the board before we go on to a more difficult away game with Newcastle at St James Park. So yeah.
So, guys, do we? I know Uncle Ross had a different team there, but I agree with you. It's time to give Darwin Núñez a run out. It's better doing it at the beginning of the season rather than the end of the season, if you know what I mean, guys. So, and like I said, you've got intelligent players behind him. If this is the formation we're going to play, obviously, and he will get a lot more of the ball to score goals. So I'll give him a chance. Let him go on a run of games. If he scores, let him keep going, innit? I don't know why people keep chopping and changing and things like that, because the confidence goes away if you keep doing that. Ain't that right, Top Man? It's true, innit? It's true, Top Man, isn't it?
Listen, this guy called Watson, and they got a guy called Watson. He's funny, you know. He comes on my stream sometimes and everything that. And I swear I can't do a proper stream with him because I'm laughing too much at things he says. You know what I mean? I nearly put one of time out because I was laughing too much the other day, man. He's funny. He's funny.
So, guys, are you happy with this formation with this team, or do you want to change it slightly?
No, you know what? At the end of the day, sorry. You know what? And I think the beauty about our attack at the end of the day, we've got so much variations in attack.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? So whatever you play in attack, whether you start with Nunes or start with Gappo or start with Jota on the left or start with Diaz on the left, you just got so much variables in attack. What I would like to see, though, I would like to see at the end of the day the same kind of versatility for the right side of attack in Salah's position. I don't think we got it. I mean, however, at the end of the day, sort of like they say that Szoboszlai can play on the right side, but I don't really want to take him out of midfield. I want to literally stay in there. Do you know what I mean? He could be our weapon in midfield. But then obviously you got Ben Doak. Maybe some would say at the end of the day he's inexperienced, but how do you get your experience? It's obviously getting game time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to say. The beauty of this team and the team is probably at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's just getting the midfield right. I think the rest of it, like your defense, in a way, I mean, you got your Verge and you got your Konate and that. Do you know what I mean? And Robertson and Trent. Do you know what I mean? And you can probably put a Matip in there. You know what I mean? But I think the rest of the team at the end of the day sorts itself out, and plus the attack as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's just literally getting that midfield remedy right. Do you know what I mean? Getting that balancing, the defending, the playmaking, the holding and stuff. You know what I mean? And getting the right players in it. But other than that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm happy with it because
you know what's funny, Uncle Rod's like in a normal circumstances, if you take the injuries and all that stuff out of the question, that's a dream midfield. Am I wrong, guys? Like, if you look at Thiago, if he's in tip-top condition, that's like a dream midfield. Honestly,
of course it is.
I mean, so any team in the world would actually hope for a team like that, if you know what I mean. So, it's not a bad team. It's not a bad team at all. It's just got to get him fit, and obviously, if the new player comes in, and I think we'll be elevating more further in the pitch as well. So we'll be all right. We'll be all right, guys. Give me your score prediction before we go. Go top man.
12 man first.
I'm so bad at score predictions. So, and also often, like I said, I'm superstitious at times. So I hate giving score positions. But how about 8-0?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm superstitious. I hate doing predictions. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we'll beat them 8-0.
Go there. Like, might as well. 8-0. Why not? See, it caused such a viral sensation.
I'm disappeared.
Fozzie's hiding now.
I'm hiding because of that. Uncle Ross, go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. As I said, the attack seems to be patterned very well. Midfield obviously is getting the balance. I don't think we're beating 9-0 again. I'll be obviously sort of like I'll be gassed if it did and stuff. But so I'm going for 6-0.
Wow. We was laughing at bloody 12 man.
I know you're laughing at my 8-0.
Yeah, but he said 8. He said 8. I only said 6. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you know what? I enjoy this every time. Harley, go ahead, little brother. Go on, man. Go on.
I have a feeling it'll be one of them games where we'll struggle to break them down a little bit at first. I think we'll get an opening goal before half time, and then I think as the game goes on, the floodgates will begin to open. So I'm going to say, I think I'm going to give it 4-0. That's what I'm going to say, 4-0.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Fair dues.
I think it's going to be a statement, isn't it? That's what we need in this game, especially that Chelsea performance, like when we burned that in the first half. You know what? I'll go with Harley. I think it's going to be this 4-0. Yeah.
If you'd said 2, then it would have been 8, 6, 4, 2. It would have been like.
let's go,
It's
guys.
right. One of us.
The chat, guys. Can you respond to the chat, guys? You know, like they've been with us from the start. You know what I mean? And they are fantastic. There's some new people I've never seen in my life in here. They're loving the channel. They're saying, obviously, we're gonna discuss your channels as well after the game. So after the game, after the stream. So next time, I think like what I want the chat to do is participate in regards to questions to ask us. You know what I mean? We're gonna do this more or less every day. Let them ask questions and we answer to them. You know what I mean? So that'd be brilliant if we all can play our part of the chat as well. Do you guys agree with that? Something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
We put the questions up and then we could all answer it in different ways to prolong the shows.
The chat and the support have been excellent, and I cannot thank the people who are watching enough. Get that out there right now. Thank you all very much.
I'll tell you what, sort of like the support at the day that our channels have got. Do you know what I mean? In the last 2 weeks or so, it's been awesome. And do you know what I mean? And you guys, put it this way, you guys will be nothing without you.
Yeah, we've got to talk about them.
Let's have it straight. We'll be nothing without you, for that. You know what I mean? So basically, the support that you've shown us at the day, right? It doesn't go amiss, and we love you all. Do you know what I mean? Every guy, like even that guy Volts Sex. I think he's a Chelsea supporter.
Chelsea fan, yeah.
He's a Chelsea fan, but he's in my he's subscribed to my channel and he's in my channel for that. And literally he just brings pure vibes, pure good vibes, and he's just like he's a joker. He makes you laugh. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like every one of you in the chat and everything that, you know what, we love you all. Trust me, we love you all and everything. And thank you for the support that you continuously give us, and to the new people in the chat as well. Do you know what I mean? Thank you for the continuous support that you give us. And
we can't go without your support.
Yeah.
12 man, you want to say something about them? Because I know you appreciate them more than anything. You always interact with them. I've noticed on the chat as well. No, big up for that, bro.
I think one of the major reasons why, if anything, which I hope any of my words resonate with my fellow supporters of this club, is because I have love for Reds, obviously, but I put Reds always first in my heart. Big up to all those that are, our guests. It's nice to see you here and everything else, but when it comes down to it, like if you're a Red, you're someone that I'm always going to have your back, always going to be supportive of you. And it's someone of the moniker, as in, like, again, it's not you'll never walk alone. I always stress this. It's not just merely a song. It's not even really just an anthem. More so, it's an intention. And my intention is to honor that moniker and to always, hold it true. And as long as we do that, as all of us do that, we'll never have to fear anything. So that's why.
Holly?
As I said just now, we can't grow without the new support that comes into the channel. I am extremely grateful. I think we all are extremely grateful for the support that we have been shown, both from people who've been watching the channel for a while or have been coming in the last few weeks, even people who were in for the first time today. Seeing new names in that chat and seeing the subscribing numbers go up, it just makes us realise how supportive we are. So every little bit helps. Do you know what I mean? Like, subscribe, notifications on if you've enjoyed it, which I'm sure you have if you're still here after 2.5 hours. So yeah, again, just all I can give again is my genuine heartfelt thank you to everyone, not just the people watching, but the people who've given me this platform and have given me the opportunities as well. I'm extremely grateful to everyone involved.
You deserve it, bro. You deserve it. Trust me.
Love always, man. Love always.
Yeah. You know, guys, without the chat, we'd be nothing. You know what I mean? And that's what makes us like stronger to come back every single time. And you got to think about it, like with Uncle Rods, with 12th Man, with Harley. Like when the two of them have their own channels, people don't understand the work they have to do on it. It is. I'm telling you, it's the hardest thing you can do anywhere, and they have to bring this content for you, even if they're struggling for some reason. They do it. Everybody does it, And what you need to understand is hard work pays off at the end. And I hope we did that for you, and we're going to continue doing that for you as well. Please, please, please subscribe to all of these guys. Please subscribe to all these guys. Like I said, it's hard work doing this, bringing content,
Hey,
bringing ideas, bringing everything that we do. It's not as easy as you think it is. We try our best always, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really mean that. Thank you,
sorry,
chat. Honestly,
1 second. Big up to this back chat. Big up to Jean Grey. Big up to Jean Grey because apparently she says she's opened a Jamaican restaurant.
Absolutely.
yes, yes, yes.
So big up to you, and listen, I wish you all the success in your venture, and trust me, let me know where it is in a private chat when you ever on my channel or whatever, you know what I mean, like in the chat, and I'll come down there and feel like a sub or something your food,
Yeah.
I'll support you for that because I'm a man that loves food, you know. Seriously, I ain't got a big belly for nothing, you know what I mean? So big up to you at the day for obviously at the day opening your Jamaican restaurant. Big up to you, man. Big up to you.
Get a little oxtail, little plantains.
Yeah, man. Oxtails are planted.
Big
That's
up,
on cold
big
foot. It's on
There you
cold
go.
foot.
Big up.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
you know what is Haz is probably wondering what you lot on about. What you lot on about?
Guys,
Exactly what was going through my head.
by the way, thank you for coming on, guys. You know what I enjoy the most about you guys? You always message me. You know what I mean? And it takes a lot to come on channels. You know what I mean? Especially when you're doing your own streams as well. But honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart that you actually help us out on the channel as well. It's your channel, like I've always said, and I want to ask you guys, where can people find you next, man? So go for it, Mr. 12th Man.
Okay, so you can reach me at Liverpool 12th Man. That's where I am on YouTube, at least. If you're on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now, I'm at the Reds 12th Man. Look, again, I can't stress it enough, and I appreciate all the support. Apparently, I finally got over the threshold, that 100 supporter threshold finally.
Yes.
So now on to 1,000, and then on to 10,000, and to 100,000. Just keep on rocking and rolling with all of you as the base, bringing out positivity, continuing to support each other in creative fireworks.
I like that.
And to continue to project positivity, to continue to support each other. That's the main cause. The main mission of mine is to empower each and every Red so that we can take on our rivals. We can always have the support of each other and continue to root on up the Reds always. And I appreciate the opportunity to do so with Fozzie, with Roz, with Haz, and Norbeats, who left earlier. All these great contributors to this channel, to their own channels. We all appreciate your support, because without you, we aren't a Reds nation. But with you, we are the mighty Reds. So I appreciate that.
Big up, brother. Big up. Uncle Rods, go for it, man.
As man said, you know, man like 12th man, you know. Big up 12th man each and every time, man. Listen to chat at the end of the day. It's been amazing. And I like to take time to big up all the other content creators in the building. Ensman TV is one of them. Do you know what I mean? Big up Ensman TV to beginning to end. Big up Amir from Liverpool Copites. You know, obviously Liverpool 12th Man with his channel, A.F.C TV. Big them up as well. Do you know what I mean? And now with 12th Man. Now you reached 100 and day. We're going to get you to 200, 300, 500. You know what I mean? The sky's the limit now. Because I think sometimes the hardest thing is getting to that 100.
Spot
you know what I mean? Once you get to 100, I'm not saying it's going to be piss easy. I'm just saying it gets a bit kind of better. Do you know what I mean? But the hardest thing is getting to that 100 mark and that. And you've achieved that. So now we need to get you to 200, 300, 400, 500, and so on. You understand what I'm saying? You can find me on Anfield Uncle Rods, okay? Anfield Uncle Rods on YouTube, on the road to 1K of subscribers, okay? So standing now, because I get new subscribers every day, and now I'm on 835. So you know, we're getting there, but the road road to 1K as obviously officially started for a while now. So Anfield Uncle Rod's on YouTube, where we do panel debate shows, Red Reasoning, transfer talk, also like watch along shows, match reactions, and so forth. Yeah, I'm on Instagram as well, and it's Anfield Uncle Rod's on Instagram, and the same is on Twitter. I'd like to say big respect goes out to Fuzzy, big respect goes out to you for inviting me on your platform. And
I don't need anything, Uncle Rods. You did it by yourself. You done it by yourself, man. No.
I won't have it.
You guys done it by yourself. Don't include me. I like to do this. Please.
I won't have it for that, right?
Please, man. No.
Credit where credit is due. That's what I'm saying. Credit where credit's due. I know you don't like to take the plaudits, but credit where credit's due. And I always like to appreciate. That's how I've been brought up. Appreciate the good things that people do for you. Do you know what I mean? So to me now, when I say this all the time, it's an appreciation for what you've done for me. Do you know what I mean? Because you're a spot on guy. And I won't feel good in myself in not expressing my appreciation towards you. You understand what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? Because you're a great guy, man. You're a great guy, and I won't have anything said less about you. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, so those are the 3 platforms you can find me on. And as I said, you know what I mean? Big up to Fuzzy for inviting me on this channel.
Thank you, Uncle Rods. Harley, go ahead, little brother.
You can find me on Twitter at LFC97. That should be down somewhere there. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come follow me. I don't currently have my own personal YouTube channel, so if you want to watch me talk about footy for whatever reason, LFC is the place to
We'll
do
be back 2:30 in the afternoon
tomorrow.
That's our show. That's our show.
Yeah. So yeah, like, subscribe, notifications on for that. You won't want to miss it. But yeah, more importantly, just this whole organization is filled with excellent creators. 12th man. Thank you very much, Ends. 12th man. He's another one, by the way, Endsman TV. Go and subscribe to him. 12th man. Go and
100%.
look at his channel. In the short time that I've known him, he's come across as a very passionate, very intelligent, kind-hearted fella. Can't say enough. I can't say enough. Rod's exactly the same. Both extremely underrated content creators, both, as far as I can see, fantastic people. And I'm absolutely honoured to be working with them. Fuzzy, what more can be said other than the fact that the man's an absolute legend, and I can't thank him enough for giving me the platform to come on here and chat a load of poo about footy, really. So yeah, I'm beyond honoured, and that's I won't waffle for too much longer. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, you're more than welcome to. If you don't, I understand. Fair enough. But more importantly, if you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you subscribe to these, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated, guys. Don't go anywhere. We ain't finished yet, us lot talking. So yeah, people, you can see everyone, even the people that's not in here. Please go subscribe to everyone that's still on it. We're always going to be on each other's shows. We're all supporting each other. Sorry, I should have put Ends as well in there. I apologize, Ends, my bad. Next show, I promise I'll put it tomorrow's show. All of these people are the ones we know, the ones who help each other out, and they go out their way as well. So please go subscribe to them.
Don't forget Norbeats, who was on the show.
He's on there. He's on there. Norbeats is on there. Thank you, Norbeats. Thank you.
I didn't mention him, and
go on.
I want to not mention him. Another fantastic creator, very, very intelligent guy. Make sure you subscribe to him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to Norbeats as well. Quasi was on here yesterday. So we do, more or less, we do shows every day. And these guys always message me to come on. I mean, that's what I like. That motivates me. Normally, I just, if no one messages me, maybe I won't do a show. I'll just have a rest. But these guys bring me on here doing this every day. And thank you, Uncle Rods. Thank you, 12 Man. Thank you, Haas. Thank you, Jamie Phillips. Thank you, Norbeats as well. We've done a great show today. We pretty much covered everything that we had to cover. So Next one is going to be tomorrow. Me and Haas are going to be doing it at 2:30. That's our slot. We do that every afternoon. We'll be back to that, and then we'll do some more as we go along as well. Because I'm doing night shifts, but you never know. Someone else might host the shows as well. So yes, please, people, please subscribe to everyone that's here. It's not all about LFC. It's about everyone being together as one. So I'll see you tomorrow at 2:30. Take care, everybody.